Chapter 35-38. The Importance of Surveillance. The man in the Cheongsam contacted his acquaintances and asked them to call the people who had conflicts with them over. The 3-inch world. The man in the Cheongsam kept sending messages. Many people had sent her messages. Ning Shu was drinking tea and eating snacks, which made the man in the Cheongsam roll his eyes. Whose business was this? Why was he so busy and working for nothing? Ning Shu observed his expression and poured a cup of tea for the man in the Cheongsam. He said, "Thank you for your hard work." The man in the Cheongsam was speechless. A cup of tea? So what was he so busy doing? It was killing him. The man in the Cheongsam was busy for a while. After finishing a cup of tea, he said to Ning Shu, "Let me tell you a piece of news." Ning Shu looked at him. "Don't tell me that these people are ignoring me and don't plan to come at all?" The man in the Cheongsam said, "You're right." Ning Shu knew this would be the result. It would be abnormal if these people rushed over as soon as she called them. She was a nobody and had no prestige in the organization. It was normal for them to ignore her. Ning Shu was not in a hurry. He said to the man in the Cheongsam, "Tell them that they don't want to come because it's too troublesome. But I have to send these videos to the organization. As for what kind of punishment the organization will give, I don't know. My patience is limited. I'll hand them the videos if they wait too long." Anyway, Ning Shu and the others had threatened them openly. "If they don't come, I'll complain." The man in the Cheongsam looked at Ning Shu and said after a long time, "You're so insidious." "What do you mean insidious? This is an open conspiracy. I'm forcing you to come. If you don't come, do as you see fit." The man in the Cheongsam sent Ning Shu's message. Then the two of them began to eat and drink while waiting for people to come. The man in the Cheongsam suddenly realized something. "That's not right. Why is it in my restaurant again? Don't you also have a restaurant? Why don't you do it in your own restaurant? Would they fight again later?" The man in the Cheongsam felt that his restaurant was really a sin. So many accidents happened in his restaurant. Who was going to pay for the damage and affect his business? Ning Shu poured him a cup of tea. "Your restaurant is famous. Others will definitely be able to find it." "Bullshit, all the law cities have the same layout, so how could we not find it?" The Cheongsam man scoffed. "If I lose tables, chairs, bowls, chopsticks, and cups, you have to compensate me. I'm so poor now." Ning Shu comforted him, "Don't worry, I won't do anything. I'm not such a violent person. I like to be reasonable." Cheongsam man, haha. While they were eating and chatting, more and more people arrived. When they saw the man in the Cheongsam, they walked over and asked, "Zuli, why are you looking for us?" "Ning Shu, why are you playing dumb?" The man in the Cheongsam didn't say anything else. He just said, "When everyone is here, you can order whatever you want to eat." Since they were here, he would at least have some business. Living in poverty, one had to be calculative. Some familiar people sat at the same table and began whispering to each other. Of course, there were also people who were at odds with each other. They hated each other, and it hurt their eyes to look at each other. Soon, the entire restaurant's hall was filled with people. Ning Shu glanced at these people. They had more or less added wounds to the dolls. Ning Shu coughed, but no one paid her any attention. Ning Shu slammed the table hard. With a bang, she finally succeeded in attracting everyone's attention. Ning Shu said, "You should know why I called you here, right?" "I don't know," the crowd responded sparsely. Ning Shu raised her eyebrows. She didn't have as many connections as the old mission enforcers like the man in the Cheongsam. She was dignified, so people would at least give her some face. It was normal for people to not give her face as she was a nameless mission enforcer. Ning Shu wasn't here to get close to these people. Besides, she still had something on these people. There was no need to be polite. Ning Shu threw out a bill and said to these people, "You guys gather the money and this matter is over. I won't hand it over to the organization." The people present looked at Ning Shu and then looked at the bill. Suddenly, there was an uproar. 80 million? Why don't you rob someone? You're here to scam us. 80 million merit days. In your dreams. Do whatever you want. Report it to the organization. They thought that they had something on them. They wanted money, and it was still 8 million. They wanted to repair a doll and asked them for money. Some people quietly asked the people next to them what a doll was. In short, no matter what these people were thinking, these people who had conflicts and had fought before were united for the first time. They were so telepathic that they didn't agree. After a rough calculation, he realized that there were more than 100 people in the restaurant. 80 million meant that each person could pay 800,000 merit points. 800,000 merit points was a sky-high number, especially for mission enforcers who were slightly weaker. 800,000 merit points was a lot. Even if it wasn't 800,000, it was 600,000 or 700,000. It was too much. Ning Shu listened quietly to these people. She put on a professional fake smile and said, 700,000? When the judge comes, the minimum penalty is 1 million. Especially since everyone is a super mission enforcer. The penalty will definitely be higher. Of course, it's also possible that someone will be obliterated. There are so many people causing trouble, and this is only one law city. There are so many other cities. Someone has to be sacrificed as an example. Ning Shu smiled and pointed at a person. Will you be obliterated? Or you? Ning Shu pointed at another person. Or you? Everyone who Ning Shu pointed at avoided her gaze. There was silence. Many people looked at Ning Shu with unfriendly eyes. Ning Shu didn't care at all. Since he was holding on to someone's weakness, he had to be aware that he would be hated. It doesn't matter anymore. It was good to collect the 80 million yuan. This was the medical fee for saving a life. When the Hope doll returned, it was already a complete doll. Ning Shu said, I'll give you time to think about it. Give me an answer after you've thought about it. But you have to think about it here. You can't leave the restaurant. The Cheongsam man was speechless. Did he still want to do business? Why was his restaurant so miserable? Life was really cruel to this little cutie. Oh, the Water City Lord still wants to detain us. Don't we need to do the quest? Do we have to report your actions to the organization and say that you're detaining people and affecting our mission? Ning Shu said unhurriedly, I am the lord of a city. Since you have committed a crime, I have the right to admonish you. Did I detain you? No, I'm just trying to brainwash you. /BK. Chapter 35-39. Ning Shu's shameless words successfully silenced the people present. Please look at the most complete. What a shameless person. She had never seen such a shameless person before. Ning Shu's face was not red and he said, I'm doing this for your own good. Although I'm a little long-winded and wasted a little time, the stability and prosperity of the city needs every task taker to pay attention to. Sigh, she's really trying her best to persuade us. Can you people understand her good intentions? Hurry up and give the 80 million. Hee, the Water City Lord is so arrogant. Do you think you can deal with so many people? Her strength is mediocre. There are many strong people among the task takers. Do you know XXX? The tone of the person with a backer was still very tough, indicating that if she didn't let her go, she would have to bear the consequences. With so many people, could she handle it alone? Everyone had more or less connections. If these connections were extended, it was not something the Water City Lord could deal with. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Sorry, I don't know. I also know that there are many strong people. Is XXX your backer? Ning Shu suddenly became excited. It's good to have a backer. It's best to call the backer and let me see the strong people. The higher the level of the person, the happier the judge will be. When the time comes, it's not something that can be solved with 7 or 800,000. The judge would punish them hard. The higher the level and the stronger the person, the more resources they have in their hands. They would not be lenient in punishing them. As long as these people called their backers, Ning Shu would immediately call the judge to punish them. It would be a waste not to use them. Justice would fall from the sky. As for her role, it was nothing more than a weak and cowardly city lord. She tried her best to persuade these people not to make trouble, but she was suppressed to the point where she couldn't raise her head. She was called to the backer by these people. She had no choice but to compromise. There was no way to solve it, so she had to call the judge. At most, the hat of incompetence was put on her head. She was just a little pitiful, weak, pitiful and helpless. Therefore, no matter how much trouble these people caused, Ning Shu was able to stay out of it. If the judge came, her 80 million would probably be blown away. Now it was a gamble whether she would admit defeat or the other party would admit defeat. Whether she could get 80 million or not, at least she would be able to vent her anger. If they were to fork out 7 or 800,000 yuan for her, they would definitely feel suffocated and upset. But if the judge came, these people would also be taught a lesson and judged. Ning Shu calmly sat on the fishing platform. Who asked her to be in the right? She was also the city lord who maintained the stability of the city. Even if he wasn't in the right, he would still be strong. Not to mention, Ning Shu was in the right now. Ning Shu smiled and said, "Everyone, think about it carefully. I'll wait for your decision. This is my account number. Once you've decided, transfer the money to my account." Damn, he's really arrogant. Everyone present looked at Ning Shu and gritted their teeth. Each and every one of them wanted to rush over and beat up Ning Shu. The Cheongsam man watched from the side, afraid that there would be a riot. These people would not be able to control themselves and rush towards Ning Shu to beat him up. The man in the Cheongsam began to ease the atmosphere. He tried to be a good person and said, "Aren't we discussing something? Everyone, please calm down. The Water City Lord's puppet is broken. It's inevitable that she's in a bad mood. It has something to do with you if the puppet is broken. Not to mention, the Water City Lord has the responsibility to protect the city. Even if she's an ordinary person, she should compensate for the broken things. Don't you think so?" As soon as the Cheongsam man finished speaking, someone questioned, "It costs so much to repair a puppet. She's crazy about money." Yes. She's holding other people's weakness and being unscrupulous. 7 or 800,000 yuan would definitely be painful to take out, and it was such an inexplicable thing. Compensation was possible, but not so much. He didn't have the money to repair it and wanted to extort. Ning Shu was not in a hurry. He was calm and not angry at all. After all, a winner had to have the courage of a winner. "I didn't set the price. You should ask Uncle why it's so expensive," Ning Shu said. "She's going too far. Let's fight it out with her." These people gave each other a look. They would beat this guy up and then disperse in a hubbub. No, it was better not to fight. After all, she was the city lord. As for the video in her hands, they might as well just snatch it. They were all super mission enforcers. They had the means and the courage to do so. Without the video, even if she wanted to complain and make a statement, it would be useless without evidence and information. Now, she could threaten people so calmly because she had the video in her hands. Without it, she was a tiger with teeth. There was nothing to be afraid of. Ning Shu saw these people slowly approaching and surrounding her and the Cheongsam man. They looked like they were going to fight. It was not that they wanted to fight, but they looked at the video on the table and wanted to snatch it away. Naive. The Cheongsam man's face did not look good. What did these people mean? Did they want to fight in his restaurant? Was his restaurant going to suffer again? Ning Shu snorted and said indifferently, "What? You want to fight? As long as you give us the video, this matter will be over. In the future, we will not cause trouble in Water City and resolve this matter peacefully." Listen to this tone. It even sounds like charity. Not causing trouble in Water City is the biggest concession. Ning Shu put his hand on the video. "The video is here. Come and snatch it. By the way, with so many of you causing trouble, it should be considered a riot. When the time comes, not only will the judges come, maybe even the army will come. When the time comes, there will be a barrage of gunfire. I can't predict how many casualties will be." They were so unscrupulous because Ning Shu had always been in the right. It was reasonable. These people's actions were wrong again and again. The atmosphere was a little stagnant. These people looked at each other and did not dare to snatch the video because they were not sure if Ning Shu had informed the judges that there was a riot here. If there was a riot, it must be suppressed. Even if it was a super mission enforcer, it was nothing to the organization. I'm not as calculative as a woman. Insidious and cunning. The most poisonous thing is a woman's heart. These people had no choice but to use their poisonous tongues to complain about Ning Shu. Ning Shu drank his tea calmly and complained casually. He handed over the money. 700 to 800,000 merit points. I'll let you have your fill. I'll forgive you for your useless actions. Some people decided to leave first. There was no point in staying here. They might as well go out and think of a way. For the sake of their own money, everyone was going all out. However, when they reached the entrance of the restaurant, they were bounced back by the barrier. A barrier was set up? They all glared angrily at Ning Shu. Too sinister. /BK. Chapter 3540. Ning Shu had sealed the space around the restaurant. Even if these people used the system space, they would not be able to teleport back. On the phone, teleportation required a space node. Now that the space around them was sealed, they could not even find a space node. How could they teleport back? Ning Shu put down his teacup and smiled. He sat upright with his hands on his legs. At first glance, he looked dignified and gentle. He was very good-looking. However, the people present did not think that he was gentle. Which part of what he did had anything to do with the word gentle? This kind of unhurried manner was actually contempt and disregard for them. He was so calm because there was nothing to be afraid of. How infuriating! With so many people looking at him with resentful eyes, Ning Shu said, "We are not done with our ideological work. In order to prevent others from disturbing us, I have sealed the space around us. You can't go out for the time being. When the ideological work is done, the space seal will also be lifted." Sigh. Ning Shu sighed. Everyone should be deeply aware of their own mistakes. Once you recognize your mistakes, you can leave. Also, I want everyone to realize their mistakes and leave together. What he meant was that they could only leave after they paid. Moreover, everyone had to pay before they could leave. If one person did not pay, everyone had to stay. No matter what method they used, whether it was borrowing money or using things as collateral, they could only leave after they paid. The Cheongsam man was speechless. How did this woman become like this? It seemed that he did not know her well enough. The space was sealed. People outside could not enter, and people inside could not leave. His restaurant was really a sin. However, her space law could even seal space. She had a deep understanding of it. He had not even learned the basics of space law. His head hurt. Not only was the Cheongsam man surprised, many people were surprised. Space law and time law were two high-level laws. It was very difficult to understand them. Uncomfortable. The people present could not break the space seal. If Elder Qi came as the embodiment of space law, he would be suppressed. At the same time, Ning Shu was proficient in it. However, no one present was proficient in space law. They could not leave. The atmosphere was oppressive and irritable. Except for Ning Shu and the Cheongsam man, everyone was very anxious and dissatisfied. Especially in an enclosed space with so many people, even the slightest bit of emotion could spread and ferment. Previously, these people didn't really care about Ning Shu. Now that he was locked up, their expressions became a lot more serious. Ning Shu ate pastries, drank flower tea, and leisurely drank afternoon tea. He was completely unaffected by the fermenting emotions. Occasionally, he would even talk to the Cheongsam man. Now, let's see who can't hold back first. As long as one person couldn't help but compromise, many others would follow suit. There would be a bloodbath, and those who were unwilling to pay would also face a lot of pressure, because if they didn't pay, no one could leave. What's more, these people already had conflicts with each other. Who knew if the conflicts would worsen? Previously, these people didn't want to pay, so they temporarily put aside their conflicts and worked together to deal with Ning Shu. But from now on, there was going to be internal strife. Ning Shu smiled and waited patiently. It was only a matter of time before he got his hands on the 80 million. Ning Shu couldn't help but touch his head. Why am I so smart? He didn't need to use swords, spears, swords, and halberds. To be able to achieve his goal was simply wonderful. The air seemed to be dripping with viscous blood, making people feel uncomfortable. No one spoke, and it was quiet and oppressive. At this moment, it depended on patience and who would stand out. The atmosphere became more and more serious, but Ning Shu became more and more relaxed. He got the waiter to order a few more pastries. Ning Shu faintly felt that no matter how much he roared in his heart, or how much he was afraid, he should still be calm on the surface. At the very least, he should give others the feeling that he had a card up his sleeve. The challenge was one's mental endurance and mental quality. A person stood out with an ugly expression. He gritted his teeth and said, "I'm willing to pay." Ning Shu nodded his head. "Okay, just turn around and wait on the other side. When everything is paid, we'll leave together." 800,000. The man took out his identity card. He endured it, took a deep breath and paid. As soon as the identity card was swiped, the man felt relieved. He could finally end this stalemate. However, he still asked, "We've paid. What about these videos?" Ning Shu said, "When all of you have paid, I'll destroy them in front of you. This matter will be over." "Then, didn't you make a copy?" the man asked. He didn't want to be threatened again and again by such a weakness. Moreover, the other party was the city lord. She had the initiative in her hands. In the future, even if they wanted to cause trouble, they wouldn't come to Water City. They would avoid Water City as much as possible. 800,000 merit points. What a fucking heartache. Who knew that the puppet belonged to the city lord? They were making a fuss when someone suddenly rushed over to stop them. Since ancient times, people had to fight those who tried to stop them. They had to fight. Ning Shu said directly, "This is the original information. It's gone if you destroy it. Don't worry about this. I never do anything cold. This matter is in the past. I swear on the honor of the city lord. Besides, if I cause trouble for you again, isn't there an organization that can punish me?" These people were too careful. She didn't take any money. Even if she wanted to cause trouble, it would be a new excuse. It was too much to keep using the same excuse. Ning Shu was determined to be a person with style. Little did she know that in the hearts of ordinary people, Ning Shu was a sinister and cunning woman. She was completely untrustworthy. Hearing Ning Shu's words, the people present breathed a sigh of relief. At least they felt a little relieved. The man paid and stood on the other side, waiting for the others to pay and leave. With one person taking the lead, the people behind felt that there was nothing to be ashamed of even if they compromised. Hence, someone else stood up to pay. After paying, they stood on the side. As time passed, more and more people paid up. Under such circumstances, more and more people could only follow the crowd and pay up. There were also people who didn't have money. They borrowed money from the people next to them to pay. Now, it was the people who didn't pay who were anxious. They felt anxious and embarrassed. Others had paid, but they didn't. They felt a little behind. When Ning Shu was drinking tea and eating snacks, she earned 1,000,000 merit points every minute. The Cheongsam man next to her was envious. How much money was that? He thought that this guy couldn't control the situation. After all, the other party had so many people. /BK. Chapter 3541. The man in the Cheongsam didn't expect that this guy would rely on his connections to get things done. The 3-inch world he used the name of the organization, the judges, the army, and so on to control the situation and the income. 80 million. Soon, the 80 million would be in the account. The man in the Cheongsam asked softly, "Are you really going to use 80 million to repair a doll?" This doll was too expensive. And it felt like it wasn't worth it. People with a fortune could be so willful. No, it was using power for personal gain. Money came quickly. Ning Shu said, "Of course, I've already sent the doll over. I'm short of money now." The man in the Cheongsam. How generous. Ning Shu said that of course, he was generous. It wasn't his own money. This was everyone's goodwill. They were crowdfunding to repair their family's dolls. She couldn't let them down. Otherwise, it would be a scam. She had to be realistic. As time passed, more and more people paid, and the line grew larger. There were fewer and fewer people who didn't pay. This made the people who didn't pay feel very pressured. They had no choice but to pay even if they didn't want to. Especially now, the people who had paid would look at the people who hadn't paid with urging eyes. It made them feel very pressured. Even if they didn't have money, they had to pay. Of course, there were also people with good mental fortitude. They kept their word and didn't pay. In the end, there was only one person left in the line who didn't pay. His expression was arrogant. Instead, he mocked the person who paid. What a joke! Rushing to pay. Some people were using power for personal gain. This was a corrupt official. It was infuriating. Ning Shu patted the crumbs off her hands and said, "This isn't money. This is proof that you know your mistakes and actively correct them. Since you don't want to admit your mistakes, everyone is waiting for you to do so. Who cares if you are really convinced in your heart? Just give me the money. Since you're not willing to pay, everyone will wait." Moreover, Ning Shu had already collected 80 million. There were more than 100 people, and each person was worth 800,000. It didn't matter if 1 or 2 people were missing. But she wouldn't let them go. Anyway, she had a lot of time. She could afford to waste it. The man was also very shameless. "I'm not going to pay you today. Let's see what you can do to me. If you have the ability, kill me." Ning Shu said shamelessly, "Why would I kill someone? I've already said that I have to do some ideological work to make all of you realize your mistakes. If one of you doesn't do it, all of you will have to stay. To help you realize your mistakes." Ning Shu was not anxious at all. How could this man face so much pressure by himself? "Zhao Yi, pay up when you have the money. Don't delay." Someone who knew him urged. "Hurry up and pay up." If this dragged on, who knew what would happen? Furthermore, everyone was worried that the city lord would call the judges over again after they paid the money. Harvesting the leaks again and again, this was the most fucking ridiculous thing. Hurry up and leave after paying the money, lest you face a second fine. Now that this person was in a deadlock and refused to pay, what if he really called the judge? People like them who had paid the money felt miserable. It didn't matter if this woman took enough money, but what about them? Please don't harm others. People who should have been on the same side against a common enemy were now standing on the other side. It was heartbreaking. So many people had compromised. Reality was really dark. Zhao Yi was very angry. Can't you see that she's using power for personal gain and taking the opportunity to amass money? You're still giving her money like this. Were they stupid? So what if the judge was called over? If the judge was really called over, this woman wouldn't be able to receive money. Those who were punished by the judge would give this woman money. Even if they were punished more, they would feel better. They didn't want to see this woman flaunt her power. However, his words carried little weight. Most people would settle things peacefully and give him money. He didn't give it. Ning Shu received the money and was in a good mood. He only said, "You're very angry and unwilling to give me money. You'd better make things clear. The law city strictly forbids you from causing trouble and fighting. You were the ones who caused trouble and got caught. That's why today's situation happened. You guys go first, I'll go later. Don't make it sound like Do-Yi was wronged." Previously, when she caused trouble in the law city, she admitted that she was beaten like a dog because she was not in the right. She had already done it. She had to be prepared to be judged. It was fine if they weren't caught, but they were all caught. "Anyway, I won't give it to you. Ning Shu, whatever. As for the others, let's wait. Maybe when this brother has an epiphany, everyone can leave. The food in this restaurant is not bad. Everyone can sit down, order some dishes, drink some wine, and wait." Everyone. They weren't here for a meal. They just wanted to leave. At that moment, many people looked at Zhao Yi unkindly. They all asked him to give the money. In any case, they just had to admit that they were unlucky. However, Zhao Yi was unmoved. He didn't move at all. Ning Shu wasn't in a hurry. He chatted with the man in the Cheongsam. "Look at how good I am to you. I'm pulling in business for you." The man in the Cheongsam. These people weren't in the mood to eat, okay? Besides, these people had enough of seeing you now. How could they listen to you and really sit down to order food? Anyway, you've already collected enough 80 million. It doesn't matter if 1 or 2 of them are missing. Let them go if you need to. The man in the Cheongsam said, "Let people off when possible." This Zhao Yi, how should I put it, is a little stupid. How can that be? This is not fair to those who paid. Everyone is a troublemaker. Why shouldn't he pay? He's really stupid. How can he become a super mission enforcer? After experiencing all kinds of worlds, it was impossible for him to be stupid. He just didn't want to pay. He wanted to drag it out and see if there were any changes. It would be best if he could leave without paying. If someone couldn't stand it and wanted to leave, they would pay for him. Or if everyone raised the money for him, it would be a waste. If someone asked him for it, he wouldn't return it. Instead, he would say, "I didn't ask you to pay. You insisted on paying. I won't accept this money." He had successfully denied a sum of money. If this was Zhao Yi's plan, then he wasn't stupid. He was a deadbeat. No matter what, he didn't lose anything. Interesting. She looked cynical, but in reality, her little abacus was crackling in her heart. She was shameless. This person wasn't any better. Obviously, there were people here who understood Zhao Yi. Seeing Zhao Yi like this, some people couldn't help but mock him and ask him to pay. However, Zhao Yi didn't give it. He stood there alone with his neck straightened. He was quite calm. Ning Shu could not accept the money. It was impossible to deny this money. /BK. Chapter 3542. Ning Shu was also thinking about how this matter would be resolved and whether or not Zhao Yi would fork out the money in the end. The 3-inch world, now that the situation had changed again, the people who paid were anxious, while the people who did not pay were not anxious and were very calm. It was as if a dead pig was not afraid of boiling water and was not afraid of these people beating him up. This was a city of laws, and these people were fined and did not dare to beat Zhao Yi in front of the 2 city lords. Therefore, Zhao Yi was fearless. The people who paid were very anxious and worried about their gains and losses, and one by one, they threatened Zhao Yi to pay up. But Zhao Yi was unmoved. Ning Shu burped. He had eaten too much tea and snacks and was a little tired of them. He did not want to eat any more. This show was more interesting, and the situation was very stalemate. In the face of such a shameless person, it was very helpless. It was really sullen to pay the money for him, but if he did not, he could not leave. Someone said to Ning Shu, "City Lord, we have all deeply realized our mistakes. Can we leave first and not cause trouble in Water City in the future?" This Zhao Yi, we all think that the City Lord should keep him and educate him well to let him know his mistakes. Damn, this Zhao Yi was too disgusting. These people now had a much better attitude towards Ning Shu and wanted to leave. Moreover, they were angry because of Zhao Yi and wanted Ning Shu to punish the shameless Zhao Yi. Ning Shu shook his head. Didn't we agree that everyone would improve together and recognize their mistakes together? Since he can't recognize his mistakes, you should help him recognize his mistakes, Ning Shu said meaningfully. Zhao Yi narrowed his eyes, and his body was a little stiff. What did this city lord mean? The others looked at each other. What did this mean? Could they beat people up here? This was what the city lord meant, right? She did not say it directly. She just wanted these people to improve together and help those who did not recognize their mistakes. She did not say anything, she did not instigate people, she did not ask people to do it. The Cheongsam man was speechless. As the city lord of a city of laws, how could she encourage mission enforcers to cause trouble in her restaurant? He wasn't afraid of things getting out of hand, but if something was damaged, who would compensate him? The Cheongsam man looked at Ning Shu expressionlessly. Ning Shu said, "It's okay." After carefully digesting the city lord's words, these people understood the city lord's intentions and surrounded Zhao Yi. With more than 100 people surrounding one person, it was easy to imagine how much pressure Zhao Yi was under. Zhao Yi's voice stuttered as he asked, "What do you want to do?" Zhao Yi, hand over the money. Do you want so many people to accompany you? Keep your thoughts to yourself. Don't force us to do anything to you, someone threatened. Zhao Yi's face was flushed red. He felt that these people were really stupid. Now, they were being used by the Shui City Lord. The Shui City Lord was using these people to put pressure on him. Are these idiots' brains filled with shit? Ning Shu propped up his chin and watched the show. He felt that it was really interesting. Compared to the feeling of punching flesh, this method was much more relaxed. There was a refreshing feeling of being in control of the entire situation. Zhao Yi's face was full of grievances as he was being stared at by so many people. Everyone was a super mission taker and had all kinds of methods. It was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands, not to mention so many people. If he said no, these people would definitely spit on him to death. This Shui city lord was really a person without integrity. Didn't he say that they couldn't fight in the city of laws? Now they were allowed to fight. Double standards, shameless. Zhao Yi turned his gaze to the Chongsam man and said, "Time City Lord, this is the Time City or your restaurant. Don't you care?" The Chongsam man exhaled and said, "Don't worry, I will do my best to protect you and stop them from hurting you. However, I don't know how many people I can stop." Zhao Yi, what did he mean by doing his best to stop them? These words were ambiguous. The meaning behind his words was that he didn't care. Officials were in cahoots with each other. A wise man doesn't fight when the odds are against him. To go against so many people, it was as if he was facing the malice of the whole world. The people around him were all staring at him covetously. Their eyes were filled with impatience and malice. Especially those who had conflicts with him, their eyes were even more infuriating. They probably wanted these people to beat him to death. Moreover, with so many people attacking him, it was hard to guarantee that someone wouldn't kill him directly. The situation was hopeless. Zhao Yi now had the tragic feeling of the overlord committing suicide in the Wu River. He gritted his teeth and said to Ning Shu, "I'll pay." Ning Shu Feng nonchalantly said, "Sure." Zhao Yi took out his identity card. His hand holding the identity card was shaking. In the end, he swiped 800,000 yuan. Ning Shu looked at Zhao Yi and said, "You'll pay 1 million yuan." Zhao Yi was stunned for a moment and almost jumped up. 1 million yuan? Why should I pay 1 million yuan? Ning Shu said directly, "Because you wasted so much of everyone's time and so many people helped you realize your mistake. A lot of time and energy have been spent. It's reasonable to charge you an extra 200,000 yuan. Zhao Yi was so angry that he almost vomited blood because of Ning Shu. An extra 200,000 yuan? Why should he? His heart continued to roar and shout. Compared to Zhao Yi's sullenness, the others were actually a little happy. He didn't want to pay, but now he wanted to pay an extra 200,000 yuan. It was really refreshing. Some people were even more unlucky. They suddenly felt a little comforted. Even unknowingly, their hostility towards Ning Shu had decreased a little. They felt that the Shui city lord was really refreshing. Although the 200,000 yuan was also cheap for the Shui city lord, they felt comfortable in their hearts. Especially when they saw Zhao Yi being fed with papa, it made people laugh in their hearts. "Who asked you to do it? Now you're being punished." Ning Shu said indifferently, "If you don't pay 200,000 yuan, you still can't leave. You still haven't realized your mistake." As soon as Ning Shu's voice fell, many people took a step closer to Zhao Yi, putting pressure on Zhao Yi. Zhao Yi took a few steps back. He gritted his teeth and paid an extra 200,000 yuan. His eyes were red. 1 million yuan was also a large sum of money for a super mission enforcer. When Ning Shu became a super mission enforcer, the merit points in his account did not exceed 100,000 yuan. These super mission enforcers were all once Ning Shu was rich. Ning Shu revealed a smile that was like a spring breeze. "Now that everyone has realized their mistake, I will also destroy these videos." As Ning Shu spoke, he crushed the video and turned it into powder that floated out of his fingertips. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Thank you, Shui City Lord." That's not right. Why are they thanking him? Fuck the dog. The space lock has also been removed. You can leave now. I repeat, don't cause trouble. If you get caught again, it won't be so easy to pass. Ning Shu waved his hand and removed the space lock. As soon as it was removed, the people left in a flash. In a few moments, all of them had left. They were really fast. /BK. Chapter 35-43. Now that the matter was settled and he had the money to repair the doll, he could finally vent his anger. It felt so good to pull the strings. Speaking of which, it wasn't that Ning Shu was suppressing these people by herself. Instead, these people were restrained by the organization and couldn't do anything at all. Ning Shu often talked about the rules and acted like he was following the rules, but in reality, He was pulling the strings. Moreover, this was a city of laws. If they really attacked, it would be an additional crime, causing these super mission enforcers to be very passive. After this matter, things would probably be more stable. These people would probably not cause trouble here in the short term. Even if they wanted to, they would not choose this place. He hoped that these people would avoid these cities, or they might be unlucky. Ning Shu was satisfied and gave the Cheongsam man 100,000 merit points as a tip. Here free. I'll book the entire restaurant for this period of time. Anyway, 80 million was more than enough, and he even took 1 million from Zhao Yi in the end. Giving the Cheongsam man an extra 200,000 merit points was more than enough. Being rich was being willful. 100,000 merit points was at least the profit of a restaurant for 10 days. The Cheongsam man. Thank you so much. Being flaunted in front of his face really made him unhappy. Ning Shu, you're welcome. Moreover, the Cheongsam man had helped, so he had to give him some compensation. He made use of the Cheongsam man's connections to call these people over. During this time, the Cheongsam man did not interfere. The Cheongsam man accepted it without any psychological burden. After all, this guy had made so much money this time. 100,000 yuan was just a drop in the ocean of 80 million. The Cheongsam man asked, "Where did you buy the doll?" The Cheongsam man suddenly realized that it was not bad to have a doll. At least when he was not around, he could help patrol the city. He could also take video of the patrol. The Cheongsam man vaguely felt that there was a way to get rich. Just like issuing fines, many a little makes a mickle. For him, it was also a source of income. Moreover, this way, his city would be more stable. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was a good idea. Ning Shu said, "I bought it from Uncle." "No, I didn't buy a doll. Uncle gave it to me." Ning Shu had a feeling that Uncle Chang's doll wasn't being used for proper purposes. Even though it had a camera function, Ning Shu didn't think it was being used for proper purposes. She could no longer control her scattered thoughts. The man in the Cheongsam asked, "Which uncle?" Ning Shu was a little confused. "You haven't seen it before? You should have." After all, his eldest uncle was someone who had been on the battlefield. Thinking about it, he should have met him before. The man in the Cheongsam shook his head. Ning Shu said, "Then I'll give you his contact information. But why do you want to buy a doll? Are you lonely?" The man in the Cheongsam replied, "It's just for patrolling the city. What are you thinking?" Ning Shu was speechless. It was all Uncle Chang's fault. She had been infected by his wretchedness. Ning Shu gave Uncle Chang's contact information to the man in the Cheongsam. Ning Shu felt that she should haggle a little more and try to lower the repair fee. After all, she was introducing business to Uncle Chang. Uncle Chang and his group of people were mainly in charge of the mission enforcers and the system's law space. They also made all kinds of items. The items in the exchange store were all made by Uncle Chang. Dolls were unpopular products, and they weren't sold in the system store. Ning Shu said to the man in the Cheongsam, "Dolls are a little expensive. If you use it to patrol the city, it might not be worth it. If you want to make a perfect doll, the price will be even more expensive." This doll was a gift from Uncle Chang. Uncle Chang said that it was perfect. It was good-looking, had a nice voice, and was very heartwarming. However, she didn't know what to do with the doll, so she left it in the law space and asked it to help patrol the city. This was also the arrangement of the doll. Otherwise, the doll would be in the system space every day, quietly looking at people. Although dolls didn't have feelings, it was still quite creepy to look at people like that. In the mood of sending the doll away, she sent it to the law space. Now, it seemed that many city lords wanted to use this method to get rich. The man in the Cheongsam said, "I'll ask. If it's too expensive, I won't do it." Usually, the city is very peaceful. It's normal for there to be a little discord in private. As long as it wasn't too big of a deal, it would be fine to settle it in private. However, the man in the Cheongsam was short of money now. He wanted to use the same method to get some money. With power came money. That was the logic. Ning Shu shrugged and said, "You contact him. I'm leaving. Thank you for today. If there's anything next time, I'll look for you." The man in the Cheongsam was speechless. "Don't come, Ning Shu returned to the system space. Little Mouse was lying on the sofa with its limbs spread out. It had finished eating the soil. Ning Shu asked, "Are you full now?" Little Mouse smacked its lips. "Just barely. I'm half full." Ning Shu chuckled. Half full again. In short, Ning Shu didn't really trust Little Mouse now. It doesn't matter if I'm half full or full. Since I'm full, I have to work. This time, Little Mouse had no reason to not look for treasures. Ning Shu went to his uncle and gave him half of the deposit. He asked, "When will it be fixed?" "Uncle, because the damage is too severe. It will take a long time to repair. Repair is a delicate job, so you know." Although dolls aren't people, the materials are not easy to find. You should take it easy and cherish it a little. Don't vent your inexplicable emotions on the doll. Ning Shu was speechless. Why did his uncle think that she did something indescribable to the doll? She really didn't. To prevent the topic from continuing, Ning Shu stiffly changed the topic. "What was your original intention when you made the doll?" Ning Shu wanted to slap his own mouth. Why did he ask such a question? Uncle Long was probably going to say something indescribable. Uncle Long sighed. Ning Shu asked, "Do you think mission enforcers are lonely?" "It's okay." Loneliness was still considered loneliness. If one forced themselves not to be lonely, they wouldn't be lonely. Uncle Long said, "Mission enforcers are really lonely. They don't have a body, and they have no way to relieve their loneliness and stress. They face death at any time. If there was a person, even if that person was fake, but she had a real touch, he would only have eyes for you. He would serve you and be loyal to you. He would live his life for you and faithfully carry out your orders. With such a person accompanying him, a mission enforcer's life would probably be warmer." Ning Shu. Seems like it would be warmer. He wasn't alone. One more person in the system space was one more companion, even though the doll wasn't a person. Chapter 3544. However, there was another system in the system space, and that was the threesome. If the mission enforcer had any doubts, the system would answer them. If they encountered something that was difficult to pass, or if there was a problem with their mentality, the system would guide them. Perhaps it was inconvenient to tell others, but it was not a bad idea to let the doll hear it. If this was the original intention, then Uncle Chang's heart would probably be warm. However, when Ning Shu thought of the greedy wolf star saying that Uncle Chang had a love-hate relationship with his own doll, this warmth disappeared. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. Ning Shu asked, "What's the price of the doll?" How could he afford something that cost millions or tens of millions? Ordinary mission enforcers could not afford it at all, let alone buy a useless doll. Perhaps it was because of the price that the doll was so niche and unpopular that it was not put on the exchange store. Dolls were not considered a normal product. The Cheongsam man wanted to buy it, but Ning Shu felt that the price of the product should be beyond what the Cheongsam man could bear. It depends on the material. If it's a good material, it's resistant to grass and abrasion. If it's a half-good material, the material is usually easy to break and needs to be replaced after a period of time. Actually, it's good to buy a more expensive one. If you buy a less expensive one, you'll have to throw it away after you've just developed feelings for it. This is a challenge to the heart. Giving up is always a sad thing. Develop feelings for it? Ning Shu really did not want to think about Uncle Chang's words. However, Uncle Chang was a doll maker, so it was normal for him to have feelings for these dolls. Ning Shu felt that she shouldn't let her imagination run wild. She was a pure and innocent little fairy. Ning Shu and Uncle Chang chatted for a while and ended the topic. Then, he took the Thunder Law imprint and went to the world of reincarnation. He was ready to fuse with the Thunder Law imprint. Thunder and lightning were both young and hard things. Fusing with it was a great challenge to the soul. Ning Shu did not have much confidence in his soul. "Get ready. When I come back, we'll go to the void," Ning Shu said to the little mouse. The little mouse answered weakly, "Okay." "Lazy," Ning Shu said, "I think we might meet Li Wen in the void. Previously, when Li Wen came, he brought me snacks. They are all products of the void, which means that Li Wen is still in the void." "Really?" Little Mouse immediately turned from a half-dead state to full of energy and asked, "Where is the snack that Li Wen gave you? I want to eat it." Ning Shu was speechless. What's the point of raising such a gluttonous and lazy person? The little mouse saw that Ning Shu's face was not good. He thought that she might be angry. He was reluctant to eat the snacks and said, "I don't want to eat. I just want to smell it. There must be Li Wen's smell on it." Ning Shu was speechless. Damn, after hearing Little Mouse's words, even the snacks became disgusting. "Ning Shu, I'm done. Those snacks can't be kept for too long." The little mouse fell on the sofa again, limp and half-dead. Ning Shu felt that she would strangle the little mouse sooner or later. Even if she didn't strangle him to death, she would make him go away. This guy was challenging her patience. Ning Shu took a kidney-strengthening fruit. Eating this could make the soul stronger. Now Ning Shu ate the kidney-strengthening fruit like biting a rubber band. Although it was still hard to chew, at least he could chew it. It was not like chewing a lump of iron before, when he couldn't chew it at all. Ning Shu ate the fruit and went to the world of samsara. This time, he went to the second world of samsara. This world was connected to the living worlds of several task-takers. After not seeing each other for a while, there were more souls in this world. Ning Shu found Jujun was busy. He was commanding the skeletons to build a house. Ning Shu walked over while eating the fruit and asked, "What are you building a house for?" At first glance, this world was a piece of black sand. The reincarnation pool was an oasis in the desert. It was the only place with color. It was very attractive. Jujun said, "Sometimes we need to put things. If the skeleton's weapons are placed randomly, they will be picked up by some silly souls." Ning Shu said, "Oh." He felt that Jujun was very thoughtful. She didn't seem to care about anything. He felt a little guilty. In order to make himself feel better, Ning Shu asked, "Is it enough merit?" Jujun, "It's enough." Well, there was nothing to feel guilty about. Ning Shu chewed the kidney-strengthening fruit and asked, "Are there many souls in this world who have lost their minds?" Jujun took out a bottle of gray liquid and gave it to Ning Shu. "This is collected recently." Ning Shu. The most important decision in his life was to raise a group of skeletons. They were all raised, but why was there such a big difference? He looked at the skeletons and the little mouse. No, she didn't raise the little mouse. It didn't belong to her. The mouse was raised by Li Wen. But the little mouse felt that it had raised Li Wen. They both thought that they had raised each other, but in the end, they broke up and parted ways. And it was Li Wen who ended the relationship unilaterally. The little mouse hadn't recognized the reality yet. Sometimes the little mouse was so stupid that it made people sympathize with it. Ning Shu gulped down a bottle of soul power and removed the impurities in it. The pure soul power merged into his soul, and his soul became stronger. After eating a kidney-strengthening fruit and some soul power, his soul should be able to withstand thousands of thunderbolts. Ning Shu was a little nervous. Jujun ignored Ning Shu and went to ask the skeletons to repair the house. Ning Shu went to another world of samsara, where there was a thunder beast. The thunder beast should be able to absorb some thunder power. If there was a thunder beast by his side, it might be easier. Ning Shu said goodbye to Jujun and left. Jujun waved his hand without looking back, indicating that he understood. Ning Shu went to the reincarnation pool in another world of samsara. Beside the reincarnation pool stood a sword king, standing straight and motionless. The sword king didn't look like Idol Mu. He was more like a humanoid weapon, carrying out orders to destroy targets. The thunder beast was lying on the side, snoring anxiously. Its whole body was flickering with thunder and lightning. In addition, the thunder beast's body was huge and impressive. Just looking at it made people feel scared. However, the thunder and lightning on the thunder beast's body couldn't be compared to the thunder law imprint. Ning Shu reached out and touched the thunder beast's body. Suddenly, thunder and lightning passed from his fingertips to his body. The power of thunder and lightning directly exploded in his body. It was very painful and suppressed the soul greatly. Thunder and lightning were the natural enemies of otherworldly items. And this was only the thunder and lightning on the thunder beast's body. The thunder law was the most powerful thunder and lightning in the world. It would definitely be heart-wrenching pain, and it might even cause the soul to scatter. And even if he could endure it, his soul would become very weak. His soul would be scattered by the thunder and lightning. Ning Shu compared the cost-effectiveness of fusing the thunder law in his heart. Was it worth it? He might even lose his life. Even if he could endure it, his soul would become weak. Chapter 35-45. Being touched, the thunder beast woke up and opened its eyes. There was a thin film in its eyes, and there was a crackling electric current. Even its eyes were filled with electricity. Seeing Ning Shu, the thunder beast snorted, moved its body, put its chin on the ground and went back to sleep, ignoring Ning Shu. Ning Shu got closer and touched it again. The electric current flowed through her entire soul. The electric shock made her eyes roll back, and she felt uncomfortable all over. And it was very painful, as if it was burning and tearing. The thunder beast opened its eyes and stared at Ning Shu. It probably didn't expect that someone would torture himself to touch it. Ning Shu was very nervous. She felt that it was a little difficult for her to integrate the thunder rule. She was not so confident. Ning Shu asked the thunder beast, "What do you eat?" It seemed that she had never seen the thunder beast eat. Thunder beasts were also living creatures. Although they were not corrupted by the world of samsara, there was basically nothing to eat there. What did the thunder beast eat? The thunder beast couldn't speak, so it just snorted. Ning Shu didn't expect the thunder beast to answer her. She just wanted to find a topic to ease her nervousness. Ning Shu took out the thunder rule imprint, which looked very delicate and silver. There was a slight flash of electric light on it, making a subtle crackling sound. Roar! The thunder beast saw the thunder rule imprint and took 2 steps back. Its 2 front paws slightly crept on the ground, looking at the thunder rule imprint vigilantly. The thunder and lightning on its body began to crackle and turn purple. 2 round thunder and lightning appeared under its feet. The thunder beast entered the battle mode, staring at the thunder rule imprint. Looking carefully, it was a little scared. Ning Shu was speechless. It wasn't easy for her to muster up the courage to fuse with the thunder beast, but the thunder beast's appearance directly shattered the courage in her heart. The thunder beast's body had been polished by thunder and lightning all year round. Moreover, it was the purple 9th heaven divine thunder. Its body had been tempered to be very strong. At least in terms of resisting thunder, no one should be able to compare with the thunder beast. If the thunder beast was like this, she, as a lonely soul, couldn't bear it. This was especially true for lightning, which was the bane of souls. Ning Shu's thunder beast asked, "Is this powerful? If so, just nod your head." The thunder beast stared at the thunder law for a long time before it finally understood what Ning Shu meant. It growled and nodded. Ning Shu sighed, put away the thunder precept imprint, and returned to the system space. He couldn't fuse it so hastily. He had to do some preparatory work first so that he wouldn't collapse. Although he wouldn't die, he couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't explode at the moment of fusion. When Ning Shu returned to the system space, the whole system space was in a mess. The little mouse turned into its human form and rummaged through everything. When the little mouse saw Ning Shu, it turned back into a mouse the size of a fist. Ning Shu looked at the little mouse expressionlessly and asked, "What are you doing now?" It was a mess. Every time he came back, it was either a floor full of confetti or a junkyard in the system space. Why was the little mouse so worrisome? Ning Shu wanted to strangle it and make it spit out the earth origin that it had eaten. The little mouse said, "I'm looking for the snacks that Li Wen gave you." Didn't I say that I've finished eating? Even though a storm was brewing in Ning Shu's heart, he still looked calm on the surface and walked toward the little mouse. The little mouse said aggrievedly, "I didn't know if you were telling the truth, so I could only look for it myself. I didn't know that you would come back so early. I wanted to pack it up before you came back." Ning Shu wanted to smash its head and make its brain juice splatter everywhere. Ning Shu said gently, "Tell me, what should I do with you?" The little mouse pulled away and looked at Ning Shu with a little fear. It said, "Don't be like this. Every time Li Wen is like this, I know that he's angry. I'll pack it up for you." The little mouse began to pack as it spoke, glancing at Ning Shu from time to time. Ning Shu sat on the sofa and looked at the little mouse silently. Ning Shu thought about it and decided to spend some money to ask. He left the system space and went to the consultation room in the city of water. Ning Shu walked in, sat down, and waited for Sang Liang to come out. Not long after, the silver-haired man opened the curtain and came out of the room with a book. The cover was made of craft paper with special patterns. It looked very old and heavy. Ning Shu felt that he had not seen the silver-haired man for a long time. The silver-haired man sat down and asked, "What do you want to ask?" Ning Shu opened the box and said, "I want to fuse this law. What are the chances of success?" Even if it was a surgery, he still needed to know the success rate. The silver-haired man looked at the Thunder Law imprint and shook his head. "It's impossible to fuse it." Ning Shu was surprised. How can it not be fused? He thought that it would be difficult to fuse it, but the silver-haired man said that it was impossible. What about the previous incarnation of the Thunder Law? It was impossible to fuse it. Was the previous owner of the law imprint a fake? The silver-haired man said, "A fake law imprint. It didn't even fuse 1% of the power of the Thunder Law. If it had been fused, its soul would have been destroyed." Ning Shu was speechless. What the fuck? Was this for real? Ning Shu could not stay calm. This thing could not be used? Mission takers in soul form cannot fuse with the Thunder Law imprint. In my records, no one has succeeded. First, it's restrained. Second, even if it's fused, it has to endure the pain of thunder and lightning tempering every day. The soul cannot withstand the tempering of thunder and lightning and will be annihilated sooner or later. Don't expect the tempering to strengthen the soul. It's impossible. It will only make the soul weaker and weaker. This law is very lethal and fierce. It can't be controlled in soul form. It hurts others and oneself. Ning Shu heaved a sigh of relief. What was this? She couldn't use it? It was a useless thing? Ning Shu asked, "Can people with bodies fuse with it?" Li Gua asked her for the Thunder Law imprint. She probably wanted to fuse with it too. The silver-haired man said, "I already said that this is something that hurts others and oneself. As long as you fuse with it, it will hurt your body and soul. Even if you have a body, it will hurt your body. Haven't you seen someone being struck by thunder?" Ning Shu was speechless. Sobbing, "Is this thing useless?" The law imprints in her body were not harmful to her body. Now that she encountered a Thunder Law, it would be painful to throw it away. She should keep it. It seemed useless. After all, it was the Thunder Law. It was such a powerful thing. The silver-haired man said, "What else do you want to ask?" Ning Shu knew that when the silver-haired man said this, it was time to pay the bill. Chapter 3546. Ning Shu asked, "So this thing can't be used?" She was really unwilling to leave this thing in the corner to collect dust. Ning Shu was still fantasizing. With a snap of her fingers, a bolt of lightning would descend from the sky. How cool would that be? Her fantasies were shattered by the silver-haired man. This thing couldn't be fused at all. It was a waste of time to think about it. It was a pipe dream. Ning Shu asked, "Can you fuse with this thing?" The silver-haired man said, "Why should I fuse with this thing? Although it's not very painful, it's still very uncomfortable. It's just a dull pain, but it's being ravaged. It seems that it's powerful enough. There's no need for the lightning law." Ning Shu thought about how to use the lightning law imprint in her mind. She had to find a way to use it. Otherwise, she would regret not giving the lightning law imprint to Li Gua. The silver-haired man said, "You can use the power of the lightning law instead of stuffing this thing into your body. Use it." Right, the incantation technique could use the power of the law. Her brain had short-circuited. She was thinking about stuffing this thing into her body and how to fuse with it. She didn't expect to use it. Ning Shu asked, "Then how did you fuse with the fake lightning law?" Even if it was fake, it was still stuffed into her body. The silver-haired man said, "The power of the lightning law is sealed. When you need to use it, the seal will be unsealed." Ning Shu was speechless. So troublesome. But if she wanted to use the power of the lightning law, she had to wear this thing with her. Otherwise, she would have to run home to get it when she needed to use it. Ning Shu asked, "How should this thing be sealed?" The silver-haired man said, "This is the sealed state. Can you play with the unsealed lightning law in your hands?" The unsealed lightning law should be a sea of lightning now. Do you think you can still fuse with it? Ning Shu almost raised her hands in surrender. I was wrong. This thing didn't look big, but it contained so much energy. No wonder Li Guo couldn't forget about the lightning law imprint. Ning Shu had also given up on the idea of fusing with it. This was simply courting death. Moreover, fusing with it would be like being struck by lightning every day, tormenting him in a sea of lightning. She couldn't do something so painful. No one succeeded. Ning Shu did not think that he could succeed, so he insisted on challenging. Perhaps some people were strong enough to fuse with it, but if they were that strong, they might not need the lightning law imprint anymore. Ning Shu decided to find a necklace and wear the lightning law imprint directly on his neck. Then, when he needed to use it, he would use the incantation technique. Ning Shu asked, "Will the seal be lifted?" If she suddenly came into contact with it, a tsunami of thunder would erupt, and she would probably drown in the sea of thunder. If you feel that the seal is starting to shake, go find Granduncle. He will reinforce the seal. Ning Shu was speechless. He couldn't figure out why the Grand Elder didn't use this law imprint himself. Instead, he sealed it and gave the mission enforcers a chance to become the incarnation of the fake Thunder Law. Could it be that he wanted someone to guard Thunder City? Ning Shu felt that there was nothing else to ask, so he asked, "How much?" Sure enough, he still had to consult an authority. He had rashly fused with it, and now he didn't know what the consequences would be. He would definitely be in trouble. The silver-haired man said, 500,000 merit points. Knowledge was money. Just these few sentences alone were worth 500,000 merit points. In comparison, Ning Shu felt that the silver-haired man was really benevolent in the past. When he was a small fry, the silver-haired man only collected points. However, other than points, mission enforcers only had points. For mission enforcers with small missions, the silver-haired man probably guided them through friendship and collected points symbolically. It was within the scope of the mission enforcer's ability. It wasn't completely free, otherwise, people would feel that it was natural. But for mission enforcers, once they had money, they would start collecting merit points. Putting aside some personal feelings, Ning Shu could only say that this organization was cruel, but also had some warmth. Ning Shu straightforwardly handed over 500,000 merit points. Previously, he had some left after deducting the cost of repairing the puppet, so it was easy to hand over 500,000 merit points. Ning Shu handed over the money. The silver-haired man closed the book and crossed his white and slender hands. Ning Shu asked, "What did you do to Zhuang Zheng?" "What?" Ning Shu asked blankly. "Zhuang Zheng? He didn't do anything?" Speaking of which, she hadn't seen Hart for a while. Previously, Hart would send her food when he was fine. Recently, she didn't see it often. Ning Shu asked, "What happened to Zhuang Zheng?" The silver-haired man said, "Recently he's depressed and doesn't look for food." Ning Shu was speechless. She just told Hart not to send her food when he was fine. She didn't expect Hart to be so angry. For such a long time, he was angry alone. Ning Shu wanted to laugh. Ning Shu coughed and said, "I'm busy, so I told him not to come to me." If Hart wanted to try human love, he shouldn't have come to her. The silver-haired man said calmly, "If you have something to say it clearly. Don't be so vague and hurt him." Ning Shu was speechless. She had already said it clearly. Why did he make it sound like she was a scumbag who hurt someone? Ning Shu said, "When he's free, come to me. I'll definitely explain it to him." The silver-haired man stood up, lifted the curtain, and left with the book. Ning Shu left the consultation room and found a small shop to make a necklace. The necklace had a small round box, and the lightning law imprint was inside. Ning Shu put the necklace around her neck and looked in the mirror. It looked good. When Ning Shu came out of the store, she bumped right into the Hart. Ning Shu was speechless. "You're really early." She just told the silver-haired man to let Hart come to her, and the next second, Hart appeared. Hart carried the food box and said reservedly, I heard you were looking for me. Ning Shu said. Let's go to a restaurant. Heart said, okay. The two of them arrived at the restaurant. Heart opened the food box and took out a few dishes. The moment it took them out, the aroma filled the entire restaurant. Heart sat down and handed a pair of chopsticks to Ning Shu. The chopsticks were given by Heart, and they were as white as jade. You have to use jade chopsticks to eat this. Otherwise, it'll affect the texture. Heart said reservedly. She was very calm and collected the entire time. She didn't seem as dispirited as the silver-haired man had said. Jade chopsticks? Very particular. Ning Shu took the chopsticks. The chopsticks were still a little warm to the touch. It seemed to be good jade. It seemed like the Heart was still very diligent in its research on humans when it came to eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling. Eat it while it's hot, Heart said. Ning Shu picked up a piece of meat and chewed. So fragrant. He didn't know how these things were made. What kind of meat was this to be so fragrant? Heart watched Ning Shu swallow the meat and asked reservedly, "How's the taste?" Ning Shu nodded. "It's delicious." No matter how much Heart wanted to remain reserved, she couldn't help but smile. However, she had to keep a straight face. In any case, her expression was a little twisted. "I made it." Chapter 35-48. The Heart understood Ning Shu's thoughts. She held the pendant and abandoned the food box. She said to Ning Shu, "I have something to do. I'll leave first." Then she ran away in the blink of an eye. Ning Shu slapped her forehead heavily. She contacted the silver-haired man immediately and told him that the Heart had snatched something from her. She told him in advance that it wasn't a gift from her, but the Heart had snatched it. She also asked the silver-haired man to help her get it back. As for the more precious thing that the Heart said, Ning Shu didn't care. She only wanted her necklace back. She didn't want to take advantage of the Heart. It wasn't just because it was the lightning law imprint. It was also because the necklace was on the Heart. The Heart was indulging in its own fantasy. In Ning Shu's heart, the Heart was a child. It was a junior. The Heart had come into contact with too few girls. The range of choices was too small. It should come into contact with other people. With the silver-haired man's help, the chances of getting the lightning law back should be higher. Ning Shu gritted her teeth and finished all the meat. Not only the meat, but she also drank the soup. Originally, she wanted to fuse with the lightning law imprint. In the end, the lightning law couldn't be fused. Now, even the lightning law was gone. What am I doing? What happened? Ning Shu was confused. Ning Shu didn't care whether she could get the lightning law back or not. If she could get it back, she would get it back. Even if she couldn't get it back, she would still take back this loss. She wouldn't do a losing deal. Ning Shu returned to the system space. The messy system space was clean and tidy again. Ning Shu felt that the little mouse was a little crazy. It insisted on messing things up. It insisted on her scolding it and then cleaning it up. But how many times could these things be messed up? Ning Shu was in a bad mood. She didn't have a good attitude towards the little mouse. The little mouse, Heido, stared at Ning Shu with its black eyes. It could tell that Ning Shu was angry, so it slowly moved to Ning Shu's side. Ning Shu glanced at it and completely ignored it. He was afraid that she would take the little mouse away and torture it in the system space every day. He couldn't take it anymore. How could he be so impolite when he was a guest in someone else's house? The little mouse said to Ning Shu, "I want to go to the void. Are you coming?" Ning Shu didn't say anything. The little mouse said, "I'll take you to my secret base. Do you want to go? There are a lot of good things there." Ning Shu squinted at it. Little mouse said, "Haven't I cleaned it up? Women should not get angry or they will age easily." Ning Shu wasn't angry at first, but when he heard this, he almost laughed. Ning Shu coldly asked, "Secret base? What base?" The little mouse actually had a secret base. Didn't I see it? The little mouse's race was drifting in the void. They could go wherever they wanted. This kind of preparation was not in line with the little mouse's intelligence. The little mouse said longingly, "When I found that place, Li Wen said that I could protect it and set up a barrier." As expected, this style was very similar to Li Wen's. Storing things was a very human behavior. The little mouse's race was to eat wherever they went. They didn't have this kind of awareness. "Take me to your secret base?" Ningshu asked. This was an unexpected gain. Perhaps Little Rat had already sensed her impatience, and he was eager to prove his worth by doing something. Not bad, not bad. Although she lost a Thunder Law imprint, at least she forced out the little mouse's secret. On the surface, Ningshu was not interested in the secret base mentioned by the little mouse. She didn't take the initiative to go. She only said, "I'm going to do a mission. When will I go to your secret base?" The more Ningshu was like this, the more anxious the little mouse was. It felt that its secret base was not attractive to Ningshu, and its value decreased a lot. This was a little different from what the little mouse thought. It thought that this girl would be very happy. After all, she talked about treasures every day. Why did she look like this? The little mouse said to Ningshu coquettishly, "Go, I don't even know if this secret base is still there. If other races find out, the treasures inside will be gone." Ningshu said calmly, "If it's gone, then it's gone. There are so many treasures in the world. I can't have them all. If it's gone, it means that I have no fate with these treasures." The little mouse was speechless. Damn, is she crazy? Is she disheartened? Has she lost interest in everything? Has she lost interest in life? Please don't die. It still had to wait for Li Wen to come back. If this girl died, it would have to wander in the void again. The chances of waiting for Li Wen would be even lower. If it followed her, Li Wen might come to find it. Yes, this girl urgently needed some external stimulation. The little mouse said, "That secret base is a place where an extinct race lived. There are good things." Ruins. Ningshu's heart skipped a beat. His expression became lighter. It looked like he was about to become an immortal. The little mouse said coquettishly, "Go, go." Ningshu sighed. "They go. But if we find the treasures, who will it belong to?" The little mouse said, "You just have to give me 2 more world origins." The little mouse was still struggling for food. It only wanted to eat its fill. As for the things in the ruins, they were not attractive to the little mouse. It could not eat them. Ningshu was very satisfied. He nodded and held the little mouse's hand. "Let's go." The little mouse was unhappy. It kept grabbing the collar on its neck. However, it did not say anything. He was afraid that if he had an opinion, this girl would throw a tantrum again and not go to the ruins. She was the one who was going to find the treasures. Why was he afraid that she would not go? Was this really strange? The little mouse did not know why it felt so guilty. If it was not for Li Wen, it would not be bothered with this girl who suddenly became autistic. Li Wen was the little mouse's weakness. People with weaknesses were easy to compromise. The man and the mouse came to the void. The little mouse went straight in one direction. Its destination was clear. Ningshu asked, "Is it far from here?" "It's a little far. We have to be careful. My clansmen are dead. It's a little difficult for the 2 of us. But usually, powerful clans will not care if 2 ants crawl by their feet." The little mouse comforted Ningshu. It was afraid that Ningshu would suddenly chicken out and not go. What was going on? She was the one who was going to find the treasures. Why did it have to care about her all the time? It should be the one who was arrogant. Ningshu nodded. His expression was still uninterested. His hands behind his back clenched, opened, and clenched. She was actually very happy. She was even a little perverted. However, she would definitely not let the little mouse know about this. Chapter 35-49. Ningshu and the little mouse walked cautiously for a long distance. Ningshu felt that they were a little far away from the organization. He could not help but feel a little guilty and did not feel safe anymore. Ningshu asked, "How much longer?" Little mouse, "Soon, we'll be there soon." "You said the same thing when I asked you a few times ago." Ningshu could not help but complain. "Little mouse, we'll be there soon. You're the one who kept asking. How far have we walked?" Ningshu's expression was calm as he asked, "What kind of race is that? Even a race in the void could be exterminated?" It seemed that nothing really existed forever. Even the powerful creatures in the void could not escape such a fate. Little Mouse said, "It's a rare race, but it has already been exterminated. You'll know when the time comes. I can't describe it to you. Simply put, it's a very smart and wise race. Such a race has already reached the end. It's better to be stupid." Ning Shu was speechless. Don't find excuses for your own stupidity. Extermination has nothing to do with wisdom. Stupidity might lead to an early and ugly death. In that case, Ning Shu was full of expectations for the ruins. Even if he did not gain anything, it would be good to broaden his horizons. The races in the void were too mysterious, too numerous, and too powerful. "We're here." Little Mouse stopped and said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu stretched out his hand and touched a layer of enchantment. "We're here." Ning Shu was a little excited. He said to Little Mouse calmly, "You can open this enchantment, right?" Little Mouse stretched out its paw. "Of course, I can open it. This is the enchantment that I set up." Little Mouse used its paw to scratch the enchantment. In his imagination, the enchantment should be broken. However, the enchantment did not break. The scene was a little quiet. Little Mouse was a little puzzled. It scratched several times but still could not open the enchantment. "That's not right. Why can't I open the barrier?" The Little Mouse was very surprised. "Has my strength regressed so much? I can't even open the enchantment that I set up myself?" Little Mouse? So confused? With Little Mouse's IQ, he couldn't understand why he couldn't open it. Ning Shu touched the barrier and had a thought. He asked, "Who else knows about this place besides Li Wen?" The Little Mouse could not open this barrier. Perhaps this barrier was not the same one that the Little Mouse had set up. The Little Mouse said in confusion, "Only Li Wen and I know, and my clansmen." Needless to say, the Little Mouse's clansmen had low IQ. It was basically impossible for them to set up a barrier. Moreover, the Little Mouse's clansmen were all dead. Ning Shu sighed and looked at the Little Mouse with pity. How stupid was he? Since he knew there was such a place, he came here directly to find Li Wen. The probability was much higher than waiting in the void. Was his IQ really that low? The Little Mouse was very likely to meet Li Wen here. Moreover, Li Wen had rearranged the enchantment here. Perhaps Li Wen was now in the ruins. The Little Mouse had been with Li Wen for so long. Did it not understand Li Wen at all? If it was Ning Shu himself, he had no foothold in the void and found such a secret place. Moreover, there were treasures in this ruin. It was a perfect place to stay. Ning Shu did not want to say that the Little Mouse was stupid. Ning Shu said, "Since you can't open it, you can open it by force." The Little Mouse still did not realize that there was something wrong with the enchantment. It might meet Li Wen. If it heard that it could meet Li Wen, it would not be so calm. It would have broken the enchantment and rushed in. The Little Mouse did not realize, and Ning Shu would not tell the Little Mouse. If the Little Mouse knew that Li Wen was inside, it would definitely run around looking for Li Wen like a headless fly. Ning Shu had never been to this place and did not know what dangers there were. If he met another teammate who was not calm, he might die here. Even if Ning Shu had the will of death, he would die in minutes if he broke through the limit of power. The Little Mouse said, "You can do it. I can't open it. My strength is so useless. It must be because I did not eat the energy body. It must be because I am too hungry." Ning Shu did not say anything and took out the ruby ring. The ruby ring shot out a ray of light and projected on the enchantment. Soon, a small black dot appeared on the enchantment. This was the time ray. The compressed time ray was very terrifying. The small black dot on the enchantment grew bigger and bigger. Finally, the enchantment exploded. Once the enchantment was broken, the entrance protected by the enchantment was revealed. It was a slightly rotating black hole that seemed to be able to absorb everything. The entrance to the race was actually a black hole. Black holes were not things that could be casually entered. The Little Mouse went in first. Ning Shu followed. As soon as he got close to the black hole, he was directly sucked in by the black hole. The world spun for a while and he fell to the ground with a bang. Ning Shu gritted his teeth and touched his painful arm. Then he looked around and was shocked. This was a huge and vast place. Huge flying ships were suspended in the air. They were densely packed with flying ships of all sizes. Some flying ships were motionless while some flew aimlessly. They flew back and forth in the area. It gave people the feeling that there was no one controlling it or that the AI in the flying ship had malfunctioned. It made the flying ship look especially stupid. It was a huge and boundless sci-fi city. It was full of coldness and sci-fi feeling. The metal houses reflected a metallic luster that made people's teeth ache. It was cold and sharp. Ning Shu felt that living in such a city was depressing. There was no greenery at all. It only had a strong sci-fi feeling and was unreal. There were countless mechanical servants on the ground patrolling the city. Perhaps it had been a long time since anyone had maintained and repaired these robots. The metallic luster on these robots was very dim. Some of them were rusty. The city was filled with mechanical electronic voices. Enemy invasion. It was the same sentence over and over again. It was mechanical and emotionless. It made people's scalps tingle. This was a mechanical city, made of cold metal. The starry sky in the sky, which had not changed for tens of thousands of years, was like a painting or a projection. There was no one in the entire city. There was only endless silence and no signs of life. The city's central hub sensed that someone had entered the city and could only activate the attack mode. The mechanical eyes that received the order emitted a red light. Ning Shu and the little mouse rushed over. Ning Shu used the water law to become invisible. At the same time, he covered the little mouse with a water enchantment. This made them invisible. Chapter 3550. Although they were invisible, the machines could still scan them, but they couldn't find them for the time being. However, with the technology network in the city, it would take minutes to find them. How much time, energy, and technology was needed to build such a city? It was Ning Shu's first time seeing the creatures in the void develop technology. He thought that the creatures in the void relied on their own strength. After all, their bodies were very strong, so they didn't need to rely on external objects like humans to improve themselves. Humans were too weak. Once their soft skin touched, it could cause great damage to their internal organs. Therefore, they had to rely on tools and external objects. What kind of race was this? Why did this race become extinct if they were able to develop technology to this extent? Search for intruders, search for intruders. The machines mumbled as if they had been infected with a virus. They muttered in a somewhat neurotic manner. These machines were very powerful. Even though Ning Shu and the little mouse were invisible, they could still track them. The machines rushed over. Ning Shu and the little mouse ran. The whole city was filled with machines. Where could they run to? The little mouse immediately said, "Go into the sewers." Ning Shu said, "You're really a mouse." The problem was, did this city have sewers? Sure enough, after running one round, they couldn't find any sewers. They were chased by a group of machines. Ning Shu didn't want to fight with these things at all. The main reason was that there were too many of them. There was no point in fighting. Ning Shu was more concerned about what treasures this city had. Ning Shu grabbed the little mouse's neck and ran quickly. The little mouse felt uncomfortable being grabbed by Ning Shu. They found a relatively remote place and stopped to rest. How many machines were there in this city? The little mouse said, "These are just ordinary machines. If the enemy is too strong, they will send more powerful machines." Ning Shu asked curiously, "Where are the people of this race? There isn't even a corpse? Where did the people of this city go? Natural and man-made disasters, what caused this race to go extinct?" Although this city looked dilapidated, as if it was covered with a layer of dust, the construction machinery and flying ships had not been destroyed. The city was very well preserved, and the city's institutions were still there. The little mouse was being strangled by Ning Shu. He rolled his eyes and said, "How would I know? Who the hell knows that this race is going to die out? Maybe they'll be like me. Maybe they'll be wiped out just by going out for a stroll." Ning Shu squeezed the little mouse's hand tightly. Why did she have hope for the little mouse's IQ? However, Ning Shu should be able to confirm that the extermination did not take place in the city. Otherwise, the city would have been affected. If Li Wen was here, where would he be? Ning Shu was really full of love for the little mouse, as if he was caring for an idiot. It would be nonsense if Li Wen, as a human, did not have any thoughts about such a magnificent and shocking technology. Humans dreamed of flying in the sky and burrowing into the ground. If they could not do it themselves, they would use tools. Even if Li Wen was strong now, it would not make sense for him to not take such technology. There were definitely many secrets in this city, and this should only be on the surface. Until now, the little mouse still did not realize that Li Wen might be in this city. Its brain capacity was only the size of a soybean. It was pitiful. Ning Shu had a little conspiracy theory now. He felt that Li Wen wanted to get rid of the little mouse and enter this city. The little mouse was still waiting for Li Wen in a daze. Perhaps Li Wen had already taken control of this city? Ning Shu's mind spun quickly. There was a 90% chance that Li Wen was in this city. Maybe he was looking at them now? Soon, the mechanical army caught up. Ning Shu carried the little mouse and ran. The entire city was like a net. There were people on the ground chasing them, and densely packed flying ships shuttled back and forth in the sky. There was nowhere to hide. Even a speck of dust could be found. There was a lot of pressure in his heart. Ning Shu released his spiritual power and looked for the center of the city. He ran towards the center. As for the treasures that the little mouse mentioned, Ning Shu did not see them. He only saw metals. Anyway, there were all kinds of metals in his eyes. Did he want her to carry these machines back? Moreover, Ning Shu did not know which metals were precious and which were not. Did he regret not having enough knowledge when he needed it? Ning Shu felt that he should know more about the situation in the void. Not only the situation in the void, but he also did not understand the situation in the organization. For example, the weapons in the system exchange store. What material were they made of? Were they metals born in the void? Or were they found in the plane of existence? He did not seem to know much about such a huge organization. Now, he could not just charge forward. It was time to understand some things. The center of the city was a huge sword-shaped building. It was especially tall. Because it was a metal wall, it looked like a shiny sword from afar. The huge sword was inserted into the ground and looked majestic. Ning Shu dragged the little mouse toward the huge sword. However, the closer he got to the huge sword, the more machines there were. The machines were bigger and looked more burly and cool. An electronic voice sounded from the machines. Invaders, kill without mercy. Invaders, kill without mercy. These machines were more agile and fierce than the previous ones. They were densely packed. Metal wings spread out from their bodies and they were very fast. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn, an inescapable net. Where do I run to? Ning Shu reached out his hand. Many vines grew out from the imprint of the law of wood between his thumb and index finger. These vines covered the area and rushed toward the machines. Countless vines wrapped around the machines, making them unable to move. However, Ning Shu did not relax. There were too many machines. Although some of them were slow because they had not been maintained or repaired, their lethality was not to be underestimated. The machines that were wrapped by the vines struggled. Ning Shu wanted to use the vines to pierce the machines' bodies and destroy them from the inside. However, the metal was very hard and there were very few joints. There were also places for the vines to pierce. This was a little troublesome. Little Mouse said sadly, "If my people were still here, we would not be in such a passive situation." No matter how many machines there were, he had a lot of people. He could just dismantle these things. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. What was the use of saying this now? He did not care about his people. Now that they were gone, he remembered his people. He had a low IQ and was very heartless. His people were probably not as important as Li Wen in Little Mouse's heart. Chapter 35:51. Ning Shu felt that the little mouse was too careless. It brought her to such a place without making any preparations beforehand, nor did it tell her where this place was. It even pretended to be mysterious and surprised. Was it really retarded? It seemed like it was going to summon the skeletons. Although he didn't know if it would be useful, so many machines were really a little scary. This was like a mechanical country. It felt like the whole world had been controlled by machines. This was probably what humans imagined, machines taking over human life. It seemed to have been realized here. The little mouse shrank into a ball on Ning Shu's shoulder. At this time, the little mouse was completely useless. Let it bite these machines. Vines that blotted out the sky and covered the earth stretched out and wrapped around these machines, restricting their movements. But other than that, it was useless because these machines were really too hard. Even if the vines wrapped around them with all their strength, they could only deform the metal slightly, let alone pierce it. But it was like poking a hornet's nest. The whole city was filled with sharp whistles. It was sharp and hurried. It was so noisy that it made people's heads hurt. More and more machines were coming this way, and the sword-like structure was filled with machines that surged out like a tidal wave. The sky was covered with flying ships. There was no gap. The passage to the sky was blocked. It was really a spectacular sight. Ning Shu couldn't help but sigh. How high-tech was this machine to be able to make this kind of machine? The metallic color of the face gave people a sharp and cold feeling. It was really depressing. The little mouse's little claws scratched Ning Shu's shoulder and said, "We don't seem to have anywhere to escape?" Ning Shu rolled his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me this was a place before we came? That way, I could have found some helpers." There were countless machines all over the city. Even if he got the skeletons, it would be a drop in the bucket. He should find some external help. Ning Shu focused his gaze on the sword-shaped building. Since it was loyal to the city, if he could go in, he might find a way to control these machines. Ning Shu had a feeling that someone was watching them from inside the building. It might be Li Wen, who was looking at them from a high place but couldn't see them. But perhaps it was not Li Wen, but some other living creature. There was only cold metal in this city. There was no life in it at all. Ning Shu's little mouse asked, "Do you think you have any special telepathy with Li Wen?" "What is telepathy?" the little mouse asked. Ning Shu was speechless. "Are you the one who can sense Li Wen?" As a crazy fan of Li Wen, how could the little mouse not sense that Li Wen was here? Or perhaps he could sense Li Wen's aura. Was he really that dumb? The little mouse was the legendary pig-like teammate who would piss anyone off. Yes, of course. Little Mouse straightened his body and patted his chest. As long as I was near Li Wen, I could smell his scent. Li Wen's scent was the most unique and the best to smell. Ning Shu couldn't stand the little mouse's infatuated look and sniffed. The entire city only had a strong metallic smell, and all other smells were suppressed. It probably blocked Li Wen's scent so that the little mouse couldn't smell Li Wen's scent. Facing more and more machines, Ning Shu could only release vines to restrict these machines. The spacecraft in front was ready to attack and was about to fire. If they really dropped the bombs, the little mouse would probably be reduced to ashes. She didn't have a body and would at most be affected by the energy. But the little mouse might not be affected. However, they didn't attack, probably because they were worried about the city. If they attacked, the city would also be affected. This stalemate was not a good thing for Ning Shu. She wanted to enter the core building and not be blocked by the overwhelming number of machines. Ning Shu felt that the imprint of the law of wood between his thumb and index finger was starting to heat up. It had reached its limit. But the densely packed machines came out of the core building. It was too weak. She couldn't stay in this stalemate forever. She just needed to break through an opening and move towards the core building. However, Ning Shu didn't know how many machines there were in the core building. She felt that it was a machine base or a place where machines were born and made. It felt very difficult. Relying on her and the little mouse wouldn't work. Ning Shu was still extending his vines, but he couldn't cover all the machines like this. Moreover, there was still the spacecraft in front of him that covered the sky. He thought that the vines could control a portion of the vines, but the surface of these machines suddenly grew taller and directly burned the vines. The vines were carbonized and turned black under the effect of the high temperature. He could break free with a little force. The vines cracked inch by inch. Ning Shu covered his thumb and index finger. The imprint of the law of wood was already cracked. If he used it again, it would collapse. And there was no more energy. Ning Shu quickly retracted the few remaining vines. This way, all the machines would be free. The machines made clicking sounds as if they were deformed. Each of them transformed into a weapon. The weapons weren't big. They looked a little like guns, but the muzzles were very small. Ning Shu felt that they shouldn't be bullets, but weapons like lasers with great lethality. Otherwise, the muzzles wouldn't be so small. There were so many guns pointed at him. There were so many of them that it made him feel trypophobia. It was especially disgusting. There were spacecraft in the sky ready to attack at any time. Ning Shu originally wanted to open the world of samsara and summon the skeletons. But now it seemed that even if all the skeletons came, it would be useless. These were obviously weapons with great lethality. The skeletons' bodies became very hard under the blessing of merit. But under the attack of so many weapons, they would probably turn into slag. There was no need to make unnecessary sacrifices. The machines seemed to be waiting for orders and didn't attack. The scene was very quiet and tense. Ning Shu was waiting. He was also guessing why these machines didn't attack people. Maybe someone was controlling these machines. Or maybe someone was controlling the heart of this city. Ning Shu looked at the central building. Li Wen was inside, overlooking them from the tall building. Little Mouse nervously pulled Ning Shu's hair. "We are surrounded. It seems that we can't find the treasure. Let's go." Ning Shu sighed. "Why don't you tell me what kind of treasures this city has?" Little Mouse didn't even know this place. It said that there were treasures here, but it didn't know what kind of treasure it was. Who gave Little Mouse the face to say that there were treasures here? Bullshit. Little Mouse, there must be treasures. Otherwise, what power is supporting these machines? /BK. Chapter 3552. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "You mean the energy body?" Little Mouse immediately said, "I didn't say that. I didn't say there was an energy body. The 3-inch human world." Ning Shu said, "You can sense the energy body, right? You can sense it." Little Mouse said weakly, "I'm nervous. I can't sense it. And this place is so sealed that I can't sense it at all." Little Mouse saw Ning Shu staring at him unhappily, so he immediately raised his hand and said, "As long as we enter the core building, we should be able to find something good." "Baby, if it's so easy to get, it won't be called a baby." Little Mouse suddenly realized something. Why aren't they attacking us? They had been talking here, but these machines didn't attack them. Ning Shu said, "They didn't receive the order to attack. I guess they are worried about this city and are afraid that they will damage it." As long as they didn't move, these machines probably wouldn't move either. As soon as they finished speaking, these machines raised their arms neatly and were about to shoot at them. All kinds of colorful light beams shot at Ning Shu and Little Mouse. Ning Shu flashed directly into the world of samsara, but his body was still grazed by the light. It was very painful, and it was a burning pain. It began to melt along the wound. Ning Shu felt that his soul was going to melt if he didn't care about the wound. Soon, the heat would spread throughout his soul, and even his soul would melt. Ning Shu made up his mind and dug out the wound directly. The soul that was dug out was quickly evaporated by the heat. Little Mouse was stunned. This power, no matter how strong the body is, it can't withstand it. It couldn't kill you immediately, but the power of encroachment was very strong. You could run away, but the power of encroachment was always there. Little Mouse said, "Why don't we go back and come back when I have clansmen?" Little Mouse was terrified. The other party had so many machines, and each of them had a weapon that could turn a person into a skeleton. Ning Shu's heart ached at the loss of his soul energy. Hearing the Little Mouse's contradictory words, he asked, "Didn't your clansmen all die? Do you still have clansmen?" The Little Mouse actually had a backup plan. This was a little illogical. The Little Mouse said, "Of course, the Void will also give birth to my clansmen. The Void needs creatures like us to nibble away some unnecessary and burdensome existences." Ning Shu was speechless. Why was Little Mouse's IQ always fluctuating? There was no stable value. The Little Mouse actually knew about his mission and the Void check and balance technique. Ning Shu, "Then when will your people be born?" The Little Mouse shrugged. "A hen." Ning Shu looked at Little Mouse evasively. He must be holding back. Ning Shu sneered. You're not telling the truth. Was the void the little mouse's mother? Why would it give birth to his clansmen? It would be strange if a race could be born repeatedly. He remembered that the little mouse's race reproduced asexually. They reproduced by splitting themselves. No matter how he thought about it, it was unlikely that the void would give birth to little mouse's clansmen. The little mouse sighed wearily. Well, actually, I split myself to give birth to my clansmen, not the void. As long as the little mouse was there, it could split itself into clansmen. This was also why those clansmen self-destructed to protect the king of their race. The king gave birth to stronger clansmen through splitting, and the clansmen split to give birth to weaker clansmen. The strength was like a pyramid. Just like cell division, it could divide without limit, but the limit of intelligence was obviously limited. The clansmen at the bottom had no intelligence at all and could only obey orders like puppets. Ning Shu pinched the little mouse's tail and turned it upside down. He felt that he had caught a powerful army. As long as the little mouse was there was a large army, and it was an army that only knew how to follow orders. The little mouse's tail was hanging, and it kept doing sit-ups. Let go of me. I feel uncomfortable. Can you leave? Ning Shu said, you can start splitting your clansmen now. The little mouse said, I'm afraid that's a bit difficult. I can't split because I don't have enough energy now. Splitting is very painful. It's as painful as peeling off skin and cramping tendons. Ning Shu swung the little mouse's tail and threw it far away. After a while, the little mouse ran back. Its black eyes were full of tears. You're too much of a bully. I brought you here to find treasures, and this is how you treat me. Ning Shu said, hee hee, I feel refreshed. Who told you to diss me before? Previously, Little Rat was really arrogant. He looked down on her like she was his nose and his eyes were not his eyes. Now that you're in my hands, when will I bully you? The little mouse asked, can we go back? Ning Shu said, of course we can go back. They could directly teleport back to the system space. But Ning Shu was unwilling to leave just like that. They hadn't even entered the core building, and they hadn't even touched the treasures. Even if they had to leave, they had to drag a machine with them to see what kind of metal it was. It was such a hard metal that could withstand high temperatures. It was probably very valuable. Maybe this kind of metal was also valuable. They could take it back and let Uncle Zhang take a look. They could go out later. The city's alarm was lifted, and the gathered machines would probably disperse. The little mouse sat down gloomily and supported its cheeks with its paws. Sigh, I didn't want to tell you. Ning Shu said, then don't talk. The little mouse said, I wanted to tell you that there might be a crystal in the core building, but I decided not to tell you now. Ning Shu was speechless. Thank you, I already know. Although Ning Shu was very curious about what a crystal was, his heart was extremely happy, and his face was calm. Not at all. Crystal? Energy body? Was it a different kind of energy? Although Ning Shu wanted to pinch the little mouse to death, he still had to calm down. After a long time, the little mouse would definitely not be able to resist telling him. The little mouse glanced at Ning Shu. Seeing that Ning Shu was ignoring it, it was very angry and said, do you know how much energy there is in the void? Was it trying to play the supporting role? Ning Shu gave it face and asked, how much energy? The little mouse said, I'm not telling you. Ning Shu calmly glanced at it and didn't say anything else. In the end, the little mouse couldn't help but say directly, the energy in the void is divided into two kinds. One is the energy of survival, like the energy body I ate. It is a very gentle energy that can give birth to life. The other kind is the energy of destruction. It doesn't give birth to life, but it has a strong destructive power. The energy is violent and powerful, and it can't be eaten. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. You think the core building has that kind of energy body? /BK. Chapter 3554. Ignorance makes me confused. Ning Shu wandered around the building like a headless fly and reached the highest floor. On the phone, the interior space of the highest floor was special. Ning Shu saw that it was very spacious, but there was a huge stone inside a huge glass. This stone was pure black, with irregular edges and corners. It looked like an ordinary stone. But when Ning Shu walked over, he was stopped by an invisible force. "Let me out, let me out. I smell energy." The little mouse roared in the world of reincarnation. Ning Shu took the little mouse out. The little mouse saw the energy and rushed over. Ning Shu was stopped by the invisible force, but the little mouse didn't. It rushed over but hit the glass and fell to the ground. The little mouse sighed. "It's uncomfortable. It's a pity that this kind of energy can't be eaten." Ning Shu couldn't go over and could only shout at the little mouse. "Come here. What kind of energy is this?" "It's that kind of energy. Plants have energy, but this energy is another kind of energy. It's probably this energy that provides energy for those machines." The little mouse didn't like this energy very much. If it could be eaten, it would be better. The energy of an atomic bomb was a kind of energy. The energy of meat was also a kind of energy. Who would eat an atomic bomb? So the little mouse was very excited when it smelled the energy. But when it saw this kind of energy, it was suddenly stunned. The little mouse sniffled, the tip of its pink nose twitching. "Ning Shu, you don't have to cry, right? I smell something familiar. It's Li Wen." Little Rat was so anxious that he ran around like an ant in a hot pot. Li Wen, are you here?" The little mouse shouted. But this space was so big that he could see the end of it. There was no one at all. Maybe there was a mezzanine in this space. Compared to the outside, the walls could be passed through. Is Li Wen really here? Thinking about it, the possibility of Li Wen being here was quite high. The barrier at the entrance had changed, and it was Li Wen who had rearranged it. Li Wen was inside, but he did not come out. Most importantly, as a human, how did Li Wen avoid these machines? The aura of a human body was even thicker. Most importantly, it had a physical body. It was impossible to avoid machinery. Li Wen was really, who would have thought? He knew that she had come with the little mouse, but he never showed up. The little mouse was still calling Li Wen's name like a lover who had not seen each other for several lifetimes. "No, it's just pure passion, isn't it?" Ning Shu calmly sat down. If Li Wen was really here, then he would come out sooner or later. How tiring! Why couldn't she get close to the energy body? She couldn't even touch it. Ning Shu was envious of such a large energy body. Under the radiation of this energy body, it could provide so much energy for the operation of machinery. I like it so much." But he didn't know how to accept this stone. Ning Shu shouted to the little mouse, who was jumping down and running around the roof, "Stop spinning. Hurry up and help me put away the energy body." The little mouse could resist the repulsion of the energy body. The little mouse said, "I can't get in. I'm isolated." There was a layer of glass covering this thing, so it couldn't be taken out. Ning Shu wanted to sigh. He looked at the little mouse like a fool, but Li Wen didn't appear. As long as Li Wen was here, he would definitely appear. Just wait. Ning Shu took out a kidney-strengthening fruit and gnawed on it. The little mouse tirelessly called Li Wen's name. "Li Wen, I know you're here. Come out." The little mouse didn't listen to him. Ning Shu was speechless. It sounded exactly like a resentful woman. "Come out." The little mouse was probably tired. He sat beside Ning Shu and sighed in confusion. "I clearly smell Li Wen's scent, but why doesn't Li Wen come out to see me?" Ning Shu rolled his eyes. He didn't want to talk to a fool. Only the little mouse stubbornly believed that Li Wen felt the same way as him. They both thought that they were very important to each other. It was really wishful thinking. Ning Shu finished a kidney-strengthening fruit with great difficulty and slowly took out another one to chew on. There was nothing else to do. It was too boring. He could only eat the kidney-strengthening fruit. The little mouse seemed to have lost his soul. He kept talking about the little mouse. Ning Shu chewed on the fruit while looking at the energy body. This energy body was as big as a rockery, but it was a little ugly. It was dark and swarthy. Li Wen probably couldn't listen to it anymore and really appeared through the wall. Li Wen suddenly appeared. He was wearing a white lab coat. It was the kind of white lab coat worn by researchers. His hands were covered with white gloves. He had cut his hair short. He no longer looked like the luxurious ancient costume from before. His short hair accentuated the shape of his delicate face. Walking towards him was a fair-skinned, beautiful, and long-legged man. Li Wen sob. When the little mouse saw Li Wen, he immediately rushed over with tears in his eyes. The little mouse rushed over. Li Wen tilted his body slightly and the little mouse directly crashed into the wall. He crashed into the wall and fell to the ground. Probably because he couldn't accept this reality, the little mouse lay motionless on the ground, his limbs twitching. Ning Shu looked at Li Wen and smiled sweetly with his hands behind his back. What a coincidence. Brother, you're here too. Li Wen nodded. I did some research here. Why didn't you tell me that you were here? Ning Shu was speechless. He really couldn't answer this. The entire city was filled with alarms. Could Li Wen not hear it? Ning Shu changed the topic. Then what did you research? Li Wen shook his head. I didn't study it thoroughly, so I'm still studying it. Ning Shu nodded. Facing Li Wen, who was wearing a white coat, there was an indescribable seriousness and pressure. The little mouse ran over to Li Wen and grabbed the gift's white pants with tears in his eyes. Li Wen, you're here. Why didn't you tell me? I've been waiting for you. Sob. When the little mouse saw Li Wen, it was as if he had seen his family. His tears flowed wildly as he hugged Li Wen's leg and cried. Li Wen squatted down and stroked the little mouse. He said gently, Don't cry. There's something going on. Yes. The little mouse nodded repeatedly. Ning Shu watched from the side and felt a toothache and a chill in his heart. This was really, how could Li Wen face the little mouse without any ill feelings? It was as if nothing had happened. He treated the little mouse the same as before. Ning Shu didn't disturb the two of them. Her guesses about Li Wen were only her own subjective guesses. As for the truth of the matter, she didn't know. /BK. Chapter 35:55. The atmosphere was actually a little tense. Only the little mouse kept crying, immersed in the joy of meeting Li Wen. On the phone, Li Wen was studying the technology left behind by this race and also said that he wanted to control this city. She also had this idea, but there was only one thing. She wanted the energy body, but how could Li Wen give it to her? And without the energy body, the machinery would not have the strength to move. This was really trying to snatch something from Li Wen. Ning Shu did not know if he could snatch it. Little Mouse wiped its tears and climbed onto Li Wen's shoulder, touching Li Wen's ear from time to time. There were two of them and she was alone. Little Mouse usually looked like a hungry ghost, but it did not show how much ability it had. Moreover, it could split itself and attack. Little Mouse was not alone. Ning Shu asked Li Wen, Why are you here? Ning Shu said directly, It was Little Rat who brought me here. He said he was going to bring me to find treasures. I didn't expect to meet you here. Although he had guessed that Li Wen was here, he was now sure. There was a feeling that was not unexpected. Li Wen nodded. What do you think of this place? How should he answer? Why was the emperor so deep? What did he mean by that? Ning Shu could not help but think. Ning Shu said, In terms of style, this place is depressing enough. There was no green, no flowers, only cold metal, and the reflected luster was very dazzling. It was all light pollution. Ning Shu felt that the previous race was probably depressed because of the extinction. And the entire city was filled with machinery. Li Wen nodded. That's right. It is indeed depressing. Ning Shu asked, Brother, what have you studied? Have you controlled this city? Ning Shu asked casually. Li Wen said indifferently, It's just that these things are too profound for me. As a native of ancient times, he did not have much contact with technology and directly became a godlike person. He cultivated himself and had no sense of technology at all. To study these, Li Wen needed to start from the beginning and learn bit by bit. When Ning Shu heard this, he felt a chill in his heart. If Li Wen said this, then her chances of obtaining the energy body would be even smaller. Li Wen definitely wouldn't give it to her. Ning Shu pointed at the strange stone-like energy body and asked, This thing is also very important, right? Li Wen followed Ning Shu's finger and turned to look at the energy body. He nodded. This thing is probably the heart of the city. The entire city runs because of this thing. But it seemed to be really important. Li Wen asked, "You want it?" Ning Shu touched his face. Was I that obvious? Now that he thought about it, this type of energy did not seem to be of any use to him. He did not know if the world tree could absorb it. This type of energy was not a power of birth. Li Wen, you like it? Ning Shu shrugged. I like it. She was such an honest person. When the time comes, cut a piece and bring it back to play with. It can't be too much, but the size of a fist is still fine, Li Wen said indifferently. Ning Shu was speechless. What the fuck, was this even possible? Why did it have to be a big piece? Even a small piece was fine. The energy body was so big. It was fine if she could only get a small piece. As for the machinery of the city, she still had to spend time controlling it. Li Wen could give her a small piece of energy body because he wanted her to give up the city. If she agreed, this battle would be over. But if she didn't agree, a battle was inevitable. Ning Shu laughed and said, "Brother, I don't even recognize you when you're dressed like this. You look like a scientific weirdo." Li Wen also smiled faintly. "I feel better dressed like this. You look quite handsome dressed like this. Really handsome." Ning Shu looked around and said. Li Wen just looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu sighed. "Can it be bigger? How big do you want it to be?" Li Wen raised his eyebrows and asked indifferently. "The size of a fist is fine." Ning Shu felt that there was still a need to bargain. To be honest, this city was quite tempting. Li Wen wanted to control it, and so did she. If Li Wen didn't want to fight, he would have to pay a price. At least Ning Shu and Li Wen's faces were not bad. On the surface, they were siblings. She didn't want the fight to be too ugly. Li Wen just nodded. It's just that this thing can't be taken out for the time being, and it will take some time to separate it, so you have to wait. Ning Shu glanced at Little Mouse on Li Wen's shoulder, then smiled and nodded. Okay, I naturally believe in brother. If Li Wen controlled this city, coupled with Little Mouse's ability to split itself, it would really be a combination of two swords. Little Mouse was now happy. He had finally found Li Wen. He really didn't understand why Little Mouse was so loyal to Li Wen. No one could understand Li Wen's thoughts. With Little Mouse's IQ, the brotherly love he imagined was probably just a dream. Ning Shu said, "Brother, can you show me around?" Li Wen said yes and led Ning Shu through the wall. The other room on the wall was very sci-fi. There was a white crystal floating in the middle of the room, and the crystal reflected a diamond-like luster. It was not big, only the size of a baby's fist, and its edges were clear. Li Wen said, "Don't look down on this thing because it's small. It records the technological development and knowledge of this race. It's vast and boundless knowledge. This race is quite powerful. Are there any records of how this race perished? There wasn't even a corpse. Other than machinery, the city was completely clean. This race seemed to have evaporated into thin air. This could be considered an eternal mystery." Li Wen shook his head. "I don't know. It's recorded that this race left this city one day and never returned. According to this city's calendar, these people have been gone for nearly 1,000 years. After such a long time, this race no longer exists." Ning Shu nodded. They must have been wiped out outside the city. Something must have happened. This race was definitely a weak one. Otherwise, they would not have used foreign objects to increase their strength. They used technology to increase their strength like humans. A man's courage could only kill one person, but the power of an atomic bomb was very lethal. When a person mastered the power of an atomic bomb, it was no longer a man's strength. It was the power of a tool. /BK. Chapter 3556. This was a human who was good at using tools. The 3-inch world Li Wen said, "You probably can't imagine what kind of race this is." Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "Is there something special about this race?" Li Wen smiled. "This race is human." Human? Ning Shu was a little surprised. There were actually humans living in the void. The creatures born in the void were all very powerful. Generally speaking, humans would not be born. And humans were born in planes or living worlds. This race lives in the plane. They relied on research and technology to break through the plane and come to the void. Perhaps technology makes people arrogant. They think that they have powerful technology in their hands and can live very well even in another world. But when they arrived here, they realized that humans are really very weak. In the void, even a little wind can annihilate them into ashes. Even if their bodies have been genetically modified, they still can't resist the dangers of the void. They artificially created such a black hole and built this city inside. Ning Shu. It was truly breathtaking. Even a weak human being had such great power. A person's life was only 100 years. To build such a city, how many people's efforts and how many generations' efforts were needed? Even if technology could modify a human's body and extend a person's life, how long could it be extended to? A person like Little Mouse was born with the ability to split a powerful army, but humans could not. They relied on continuous research and creation. If the void became these powerful and huge creatures, then humans would be helping themselves. He did not know what happened that caused these people to never return. They left behind such a city full of machines and the technological crystallization left behind by countless people. Ning Shu thought that if this thing was in his hands, it might be ruined. He did not want to study these things. Perhaps he would study it when he was bored for eternity, but definitely not now. Ning Shu felt that he should keep these things in a corner to collect dust. He was a little unwilling to give them to Li Wen. He was conflicted. However, even if she wanted them, there was no chance. Li Wen had one and Little Mouse had one. Little Mouse would definitely protect Li Wen. Ning Shu was well aware of this. The Little Mouse followed her because of Li Wen. Now they had found Li Wen. Forget it, as long as he could get an energy body, he could talk about the rest later. Originally, he wouldn't be able to get anything. These technological things should be left to Li Wen to deal with. She was still focused on strengthening herself. Humans were so technologically advanced, but they were still so weak. They had left behind so many things, but they were still wiped out. It would be better to raise skeletons than to raise these machines. At least skeletons still had humanity and emotions. They could also be strong. Ning Shu felt that the technology level of the organization was not low. If they could make things like dolls, cold machines would be better. When Ning Shu looked at Li Wen, who was wearing a white lab coat, he made all kinds of mental suggestions in his heart to make himself feel better. Ning Shu said to Li Wen, "Then you guys are busy. I have to go first." After spending so much time here, she had to go back. She couldn't get the energy body for the time being, so she asked Li Wen to figure out how to get the energy body. When the energy body was taken out, Li Wen would definitely give him her share. Although Li Wen was thoughtful, she still had basic integrity. Ning Shu looked at the Little Mouse and asked, "Are you staying here or coming with me?" It was a waste of time to ask this question. Moreover, the things in the system space could no longer withstand the Little Mouse's torment. The Little Mouse looked at Li Wen and then at Ning Shu. It was a little conflicted. Li Wen said, "Follow her. I don't have time to take care of you." Ning Shu always felt that Li Wen didn't want to stay with the Little Mouse, so she threw the Little Mouse to her. Although the Little Mouse was unwilling, it still chose to follow Ning Shu. "Ning Shu, go away, go away." She didn't want to take care of the Little Mouse. She also had to be responsible for feeding it. Eating was all money. Even if it was fragments, it was still money. 100,000 fragments were 100,000 merit points. Especially the world origin, that thing was even more expensive. The Little Mouse was still causing trouble every day. Seeing it made her angry. It was boring. Ning Shu also disliked the Little Mouse and said, "It wasn't easy for you to find Li Wen. You should stay with her more. I'm leaving." She didn't want to take the Little Mouse with her. Instead of relying on this guy to bring her to find treasures, she might as well find them herself. What she fed was far more than what she got. "Oh right." Ning Shuchao asked, "Have you taken control of this world city?" Li Wen shook her head. "No, this city has its own operating system. I can't control it." Ning Shu frowned. "If you can't control it, then can't you control so many machines?" Li Wen sighed. So now I have to study how to break this system. Ning Shu. For a technological idiot to have to start learning from scratch, Li Wen's task was really quite heavy. If she was a prodigy, it would be fine. If she was a slacker, she would collapse. Ning Shu suddenly sympathized with Li Wen. She spent so much energy on this. Anyway, Ning Shu couldn't do it, because she had too many things to do and couldn't focus on this. You're quite lonely here. Let the little mouse accompany you. Ning Shu left the little mouse here and directly teleported back to the system space. Dan Qing said to Ning Shu, "The main system sent you a message and asked to meet you in Water City." Ning Shu was a little puzzled. Why was the silver-haired man looking for her? What's the matter? Dan Qing, he didn't say anything. He said he wanted to give you a surprise. Ning Shu? Just hearing the word surprise, this was definitely not the silver-haired man's tone. It seemed like the heart used the silver-haired man's account to send the message. What did the heart want? She wanted to see the heart and get the necklace back. Ning Shu arrived at the restaurant in Water City. The heart was indeed waiting for her. The heart was carrying the food box again. How long had it been since she started eating? Why was she talking about food again? The heart looked at Ning Shu with a smile. I made some food for you. Ning Shu glanced at the necklace hanging around the heart's neck and walked over to it. He sat down and said, "What did you prepare this time? Let me have a taste." The heart was more vigilant. Before opening the food box, she put the necklace pendant inside her clothes to prevent Ning Shu from snatching it when she wasn't paying attention. Ning Shu. Damn, why did the little mouse become so smart now? The heart took out the plate and sat down to say to Ning Shu, "I'm here to exchange the token, /BK. Chapter 3557. This was a human who was good at using tools. Li Wen said, "You probably can't imagine what kind of race this is." Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Is there something special about this race? Li Wen smiled. This race is human. Human? Ning Shu was a little surprised. There were actually humans living in the void. The creatures born in the void were extremely powerful. Generally speaking, humans would not be born. And humans were born in planes or living worlds. This race lives in the plane. They relied on research and technology to break through the plane and come to the void. Maybe it's technology that makes people arrogant. They think that they have powerful technology in their hands and that they can live a good life even in another world. But when they arrived here, they realized that humans are really very weak. In the void, even a little wind can annihilate them into ashes. Even if their bodies have been genetically modified, they still can't resist the dangers in the void. They artificially created such a black hole and built this city inside. Ning Shu. It was truly breathtaking. Even a weak human being had such great power. A human's life was only 100 years. To build such a city, how many people's efforts and how many generations' efforts had been spent? Even if technology could modify a human's body and extend a human's life, how long could it be extended? A person like Little Mouse was born with the ability to split a powerful army, but humans could not. They relied on continuous research and creation. If the void created these powerful and massive creatures, then humans would be fulfilling their own wishes. He just did not know what happened that caused these people to never come back. Leaving behind such a city full of machines, and the technological crystallization left behind by countless people. Ning Shu thought that if this thing was in her hands, it would probably be wasted. She did not want to study these things. Perhaps he would study them when he was bored for eternity, but definitely not now. Ning Shu felt that he should keep these things in a corner to collect dust. He was a little unwilling to give them to Li Wen. He was conflicted. However, even if she wanted them, there was no chance. Li Wen had one and Little Mouse had one. Little Mouse would definitely protect Li Wen. Ning Shu was well aware of this. The Little Mouse followed her because of Li Wen. Now they had found Li Wen. Forget it, as long as he could get an energy body, he could talk about the rest later. Originally, he wouldn't be able to get anything. These technological things should be left to Li Wen to deal with. She was still focused on strengthening herself. Humans were so technologically advanced, but they were still so weak. They had left behind so many things, but they were still wiped out. It would be better to raise skeletons than to raise these machines. At least skeletons still had humanity, emotions, and could be strong. Ning Shu felt that the technology level of the organization was not low. To be able to create things like dolls, it was better than cold machines. When Ning Shu looked at Li Wen, who was wearing a white lab coat, he made all kinds of mental suggestions to make himself feel better. Ning Shu said to Li Wen, "Then you guys are busy. I have to go first." After spending so much time here, she had to go back. She couldn't get the energy body for the time being, so she asked Li Wen to figure out how to take it out. When the energy body was taken out, Li Wen would definitely give him her share. Although Li Wen had a deep mind, she still had basic integrity. Ning Shu looked at the little mouse and asked, "Are you staying here or coming with me?" It was a waste of time to ask this question. Moreover, the things in the system space could no longer withstand the little mouse's torment. The little mouse looked at Li Wen and then at Ning Shu, a little hesitant. Li Wen said, "Follow her. I don't have time to take care of you." Ning Shu always felt that Li Wen didn't want to stay with the little mouse, so she threw the little mouse to her. Although the little mouse was unwilling, it still chose to follow Ning Shu. "Ning Shu, go away, go away." She didn't want to take care of the little mouse. She also had to be responsible for feeding it. Eating was all money. Even if it was fragments, it was still money. 100,000 fragments were 100,000 merit points. Especially the world origin, that thing was even more expensive. The little mouse was still causing trouble every day. Seeing it made her angry. It was boring. Ning Shu also disliked the little mouse and said, "It wasn't easy for you to find Li Wen. You should stay with her more." "I'm leaving." She didn't want to take the little mouse with her. Instead of relying on this guy to bring her to find treasures, she might as well find them herself. What she fed was far more than what she got. "Oh right." Ning Shuchao asked, "Have you taken control of this world city?" Li Wen shook her head. "No, this city has its own operating system. I can't control it." Ning Shu frowned. "If you can't control it, then can't you control so many machines?" Li Wen sighed. "So now I have to study how to break this system." Ning Shu. For a technological idiot to have to start learning from scratch, Li Wen's task was really quite heavy. If she was a prodigy, it would be fine. If she was a slacker, she would break down immediately. Ning Shu suddenly sympathized with Li Wen. She spent so much energy on this. Anyway, Ning Shu could do it. Because she had too many things to do and couldn't focus on this matter. "You're quite lonely here. Let the little mouse accompany you." Ning Shu left the little mouse here and directly teleported back to the system space. Dan Qing said to Ning Shu, "The main system sent you a message and asked to meet you in Water City." Ning Shu was a little puzzled. Why was the silver-haired man looking for her? "What's the matter?" Dan Qing. He didn't say anything. He said he wanted to give you a surprise. Ning Shu? Just hearing the word surprise, this was definitely not the silver-haired man's tone. It seemed like the heart used the silver-haired man's account to send the message. What was the heart doing? She wanted to see the heart and get the necklace back. Ning Shu arrived at the restaurant in Water City. The heart was indeed waiting for her. The heart was carrying the food box again. How long had it been since she started eating? Why was she talking about food again? The heart looked at Ning Shu with a smile. "I made some food for you." Ning Shu glanced at the necklace around the heart's neck and walked over to the heart. He sat down and said, "What did you prepare this time? Let me have a taste." The heart was more vigilant. Before opening the food box, she put the necklace pendant inside her clothes to prevent Ning Shu from snatching it when she wasn't paying attention. Ning Shu. Damn, why did the little mouse become so smart now? The heart took out the plate and sat down to say to Ning Shu, "I'm here to exchange the token." Chapter 3558. Finally, the Law of Thunder imprint returned. Heart pursed its lips and looked at Ning Shu. Then, it suddenly stood up and kicked the table over. The fruit plate on the table fell to the ground and splashed everywhere. This sudden kick to the heart made many people in the restaurant look in their direction. Ning Shu's expression was very calm. He just looked at Hart and called the waiter to clean up the mess. Hart gritted its teeth and said, "I really want to strangle you to death. You damn woman." Ning Shu wanted to stretch out his neck. "Come, strangle me. I'll admit defeat if you strangle me to death." However, when Ning Shu saw XNXIN's red eyes and the glint in her eyes, she shut her mouth. She did not want to provoke her. Hart looked at Ning Shu's indifferent expression and became angrier. It was so angry that it felt like it was about to explode. It felt that if it stayed any longer, it would not be able to control itself. Hart said angrily and resentfully, "I must be crazy to like a heartless woman like you." Ning Shu almost rolled his eyes. "Brother, are you sure you like me? Don't treat a little bit of love as love." At most, it was a little attachment. He did not dare to get to know other girls and was full of worries. That was why he found her. However, she did not do as her heart wished. Her heart was now jumping with rage, and she was angry out of humiliation. Hart was frustrated. Why did she always act as if it did not matter to her? Hart deflated like a deflated balloon. It asked weakly, "What do I have to do to make you like me? Is the food I cook not delicious?" Ning Shu stretched out her hand and pointed at Hart's chest. Inside was a beating heart. She asked, "You don't like me here. Do you know that?" Hart held Ning Shu's finger. "It likes you." Ning Shu withdrew his finger. "I don't like you. You've mixed up your feelings. Just get to know other girls." If it was another girl who brought Hart out of the void world, then Hart was attached to the other girl. It was not a specific person, but a specific event. It depended on who triggered the event. Ning Shu knew very well that she did not want to waste her heart's time, nor did she want her heart to waste her time. To put it bluntly, she didn't want her heart to bother her. If it was just a gathering of friends, it wouldn't matter. However, her heart was seriously disturbing her. At the end of the day, Ning Shu was a person who would do anything to make herself comfortable and happy. But if someone disturbed her, then sorry, let's not interact with each other in the future. Hart bitterly glared at Ning Shu, then turned around and left the restaurant. When she looked back, her expression was really complicated. It was probably love that had turned into hate. Ning Shu just sighed. It was good that they were estranged like this. Every time he brought her something, she was soft-spoken, but if she didn't eat, she was unreasonable. It was really difficult. Ning Shu collected money from the two restaurants along the way. The money was not much, but no matter how small a mosquito's leg was, it was still meat. Running a restaurant was just for fun. It was fine as long as he didn't lose money. What he earned from running a restaurant was definitely the gifts he received from the opening ceremony. Ning Shu's heart was restless. Why not open another restaurant and invite people to the opening ceremony? This way she would have more gifts. Of course, if someone invited her to an event, she would still have to return the gift. So far, no one invited her to any event. Receiving gifts was still something she earned. Ning Shu returned to the system space and saw Little Mouse reading with its butt up. It was rare that it was reading and not eating. This was not the point. The point was not that she threw Little Mouse to Li Wen. Why did Little Mouse appear again? "You're back." Little Mouse sat on the book and greeted Ning Shu. "Ning Shu, how did you get here?" Little Mouse, "Oh, I made a scent mark here. I can find it." Ning Shu, damn, was the entire system space reeking of Little Mouse's urine? Ning Shu sniffed and increasingly felt that there was a strong smell of rat urine in the system space. It smelled so bad. He didn't feel it before, but when Little Mouse said so, the stench hit him in the face. Ning Shu hurriedly lit some agarwood. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but when the smell and smell mixed together, the smell was even more overwhelming and suffocating. Little Mouse was really despicable. "You found Li Wen. Why did you come back instead of being lovey-dovey with Li Wen?" Little Mouse was really smelly and peed everywhere. Ning Shu wandered around the system space to see if there was any rat droppings. He didn't feel it before, but now Ning Shu felt that he was with a rat again. There was an indescribable sense of repulsion. "Go away, go away, go away, Li Wen said he was very busy and couldn't take care of me. He didn't have time to find food for me, so he asked me to come back. When he finished studying and came back to find me, I came back. Ning Shu was speechless. Although he was her brother, Ning Shu still wanted to have sex with him. He didn't take care of his own people and left them to others. He really didn't have any sense of responsibility. Little Mouse was here, but she still had to feed the little mouse. She was really drunk. Ning Shu suddenly had a feeling that the heavens would spare her. One day she would also have to raise someone's son. Ning Shu threatened Little Mouse, "Don't pee in the system space or I'll cut off your dick." Dumplings were more delicious and cuter than me. Little Mouse despised Ning Shu. "I didn't pee. I just left some pheromones. It's just a smell." Pheromones, the kind of pheromones ABO? Oh, was this the kind of pheromone she was thinking of? Little Mouse was very confused. It didn't know what the hell Ning Shu was talking about was. Ning Shu looked at Little Mouse pitifully. That was why it had to read more books, even if they were dirty books. "I don't care what kind of pheromones you are. If you stink up my system space, you can go and accompany your Li Wen." Li Wen was really irresponsible. He had no choice but to lower his head under the eaves. Little Rat could only hold back his anger. Ning Shu said, "You want me to take care of you? What's the use of you? It's useless to only know how to eat." Little Mouse looked at Ning Shu, dumbfounded. "How can you be like this? Didn't I just bring you to look for treasure? You're turning your back on me so quickly." "Ah, woman." Ning Shu spread her hands. "Where's the treasure? Where's the treasure?" Little Mouse said, "Didn't Li Wen say that she'll give it to you when the research is done?" Ning Shu wanted to say something, but the world tree suddenly appeared. It was so green that it looked like it could drip oil. Gradually, the color of the leaves disappeared. They turned white and then transparent. Only the veins of the leaves could be seen. As time passed, the insides of the leaves seemed to become more and more three-dimensional. The leaves were very small, but it gave people the feeling that there was a big universe inside. It was nurturing something incredible. Little Mouse saw the leaves of the world tree and drooled. Chapter 35:59. The leaves of the world tree were forming a space. However, it would take some time for it to form a world with living creatures. The 3-inch world, however, Little Mouse was drooling as it looked at the leaves. It was dripping and dirtying the sofa. Ning Shu wanted to kill Little Mouse at every minute. He wanted it to scram and find Li Wen. Didn't it already find Li Wen? Why did it follow her to pester Mian Mian? Did it want to stay here and eat for free? The leaves of the world tree turned from green to transparent. There were only veins on the leaves. The green on the surface had faded. One could even see the various changes in the leaves. Let's not talk about whether or not these spaces could form a living world, but with such a space, one could store a lot of things in it. Thinking about how he actually carried such a space with him, he was in a good mood. "Heh, which one of you has more space than me? In the future, when you go out to look for treasures, you will have more things to store." Like a snail carrying a house, Ning Shu was carrying countless leaf spaces. However, these leaves had not all evolved. Some had evolved, but some were still green. It was probably because there was not enough energy or for other reasons. Even the leaves of a tree were different. No two leaves were the same. In autumn, when the leaves fell, there was still an order. As for the other leaves that had not evolved, Ning Shu was not in a hurry. When there was extra energy, he would let them absorb some and evolve. Thinking about it, the world tree should have changed. Although it had not been long since he had the world tree, it had absorbed a lot of things. In the end, the entire world tree was transparent with green leaves. Little Mouse pounced on the world tree. Ning Shu put away the world tree, making Little Mouse miss. Little Mouse wiped its saliva and said to Ning Shu, "Give me a few leaves." Ning Shu was too lazy to be angry. He said calmly, "Didn't you just eat the world's origin? I already said that I'm only half full. I'm not full at all. Give me some leaves. If I pluck the leaves, they'll grow back." The little mouse tugged at Ning Shu's skirt, swaying and acting like a spoiled child. Ning Shu pulled back her skirt. "In your dreams. Even if the leaves could grow back, it would still require energy. Where was she going to find energy to supply the world tree? Little Mouse was very dispirited. He climbed onto the sofa and collapsed into a piece of persimmon. I'm so hungry, so hungry. I'm going to starve to death. Li Wenwu, Ning Shu ignored his cries. Then go find Li Wen. I'm busy. I have to go do something. Little Mouse looked at Ning Shu with resentment. Ning Shu was speechless. It seemed like a lot of people were looking at her like that recently. What did she do to offend the heavens and reason? Ning Shu also looked at Little Mouse with resentment. You said that you would find treasures for me. But where are the treasures? Little Mouse trembled under Ning Shu's gaze and turned his head away. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Little guy, you know how to ask for things. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. Ning Shu told Dan Qing that she was going to do a mission and had already exchanged for things. In the end, the main system sent a message telling her to deal with the star stone. Alright, deal with it and get some plane fragments back. The world's origin was too expensive. She couldn't afford it. It was better to get some free plane fragments for Little Mouse to hang on to life. If Little Mouse was really hungry, it might go to the Void Land to find food. To put it bluntly, it was lazy. Lazy bum. Ning Shu thought about it and still stepped on Little Mouse twice. She stepped on Little Mouse until it cried out in pain. Only then did she go to deal with the star stone in satisfaction. Ning Shu went to the broken part of the plane and unexpectedly saw Li Gua. Ning Shu couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and look at Li Gua. Li Gua was probably past her estrus period. She didn't look like before. She looked very flirtatious. What puzzled Ning Shu the most was that Li Gua was so stubborn. She had been tricked by Grand Uncle. How long had it been since then and she actually came to the organization again? This time, there were 3 energy bodies. What did she eat this time? How many energy bodies did she need? Did Li Gua's clansmen allow Li Gua to come over? Li Gua greeted Ning Shu as if nothing had happened. She called her little sister. Her gaze swept past the necklace on Ning Shu's neck and paused at the place where the pendant was. Then, she moved her gaze away and looked at Grand Uncle. Grand Uncle was dealing with the star stone. He pursed his thin lips into a thin line. His expression was indifferent. Although he didn't have any expression, one could still feel that he was very unhappy and unhappy. Ning Shu walked over and also greeted Li Gua. He asked, "You're here? Have you passed your estrus period?" Li Gua said directly, "No." Ning Shu was surprised. Li Gua didn't look like she was in estrus. She looked very normal. "I ate something to suppress it," Li Gua explained. Ning Shu said in a cadence, "Oh, then why are you here this time? Do you still want to continue the unfinished business of your life?" Grand Uncle threw the props to Ning Shu. "Deal with it." Ning Shu took the props and said with a smile, "Okay. You guys go ahead. I'll deal with the star stone." Li Gua sighed and said to Ning Shu, "I'm not here to borrow seeds this time." "There's something." Li Gua was very disappointed. Ning Shu was also a little disappointed. Li Gua said, "I'm actually here to find you." Ning Shu blurted out, "But I don't have any seeds that I can lend to you." Li Gua was actually here to find her. This was interesting. Ning Shu held the pendant around her neck and said, "Sorry, I can't give this to you. I don't want this. I want to exchange something else with you," Li Gua said. Ning Shu was a little surprised. What else did Li Gua want from her? "I heard that you have the will of death," Li Gua said. Ning Shu was speechless. This time, it wasn't the lightning law imprint but the most precious thing on her. To be honest, Ning Shu's confidence in doing things now came from the will of death. She couldn't die. Ning Shu said, "Yes. Do you feel bad if you don't think about my things for a day? Don't think that our relationship is really good just because you call me little sister." Ning Shu glanced at Grand Uncle. She didn't know what role Grand Uncle played in this matter. Li Gua said, "It's a little uncomfortable. You have so many good things on you. If you exchange with me, I can give you anything you want. Even if you give me everything, I won't trade it with you." Ning Shu rejected without hesitation. "I don't even want to exchange the lightning law imprint with you. Now you want to take away my will of death? You're thinking too much. Are you still living in a dream? Li Guo also knew that she wouldn't succeed immediately. She just said, "You can have anything you want, /BK. Chapter 3561. Awan was also very melancholy. Indeed, her situation was not very good. In the 3-inch world, what can I do? My soul is so weak now. It's a bit difficult to pick up the fragments, but I can't not pick them up. This was really hurtful. What was even more hurtful was that Awan didn't gain anything that time and lost so much soul power for nothing. Although Ning Shu also got something, it was a bead without any power, but at least he didn't lose so much soul power. Ning Shu said, "I have kidney strengthening fruit. If you want, I can sell it to you." She had a lot of kidney strengthening fruit. She had already eaten antibodies, so it was useless to eat more. It was better to exchange for some merit to raise the skeleton. If there was extra, she would reward the little mouse with a world origin, so that it wouldn't cry out all the time. If it ate hers, it would be enslaved by her, and the little mouse would cry out for her to eat every day. Don't you know that you have to be soft-spoken after eating someone's food? Awan's eyes lit up. Her entire person was dazzling and beautiful. But then her expression dimmed. "This thing is a bit expensive. I can't afford it for the time being." Awan's world of living was connected to Ning Shu's world of reincarnation, so she spent some money. If she wanted to buy this now, it would be a bit difficult. She was stretched too thin. It seemed that everyone was equally poor. Ning Shu was a bit more relaxed now. In the past, he was also in a dilemma. There was no other way. The economic foundation determined the building. Only with money could one talk about dignity and dreams of freedom. People like them had to add one thing, and that was strength. Ning Shu said, "You can pay in installments. Eat it first and pay back the money slowly." Ning Shu had always been very protective of beautiful women who were on good terms with him. Beautiful people and things were worth protecting. Awan thought for a moment. Ning Shu smiled. "Okay, but you have to make it cheaper. I really don't have much money." When Awan said that she had no money, she was also very relaxed. She didn't feel restrained, nor was she embarrassed because she didn't have money. Ning Shu also smiled and said, "The highest price in the auction house was 80 million. I can't charge you 80 million. How about 50 million? 50 million merit points was not a small number. Moreover, during the auction, the price would definitely be artificially high. With a group of people competing, it would stimulate spending. Awan didn't have any objections. 50 million, 50 million. Eating a body-strengthening fruit could strengthen the soul by a lot. When I have money, I'll give it to you as well." Awan's smile was like a spring breeze. That pursed smile really gave the feeling of ascending to immortality. Ning Shu expressed that he was very happy. There was still 5,000 yuan to be credited, although it was paid in installments. As for Awan saying that she wanted to go to the void world to look for treasures, she naturally wouldn't go. Awan couldn't go, and Ning Shu had other things to do. Of course, he would go to the void to look for treasures. There were also treasures in the void world, but there were too many of them. Even if he counted them, he might not be able to find them. Why not go to the void? After Ning Shu was done dealing with the star stones, he dragged many of the fragments back to the system space. Ning Shu threw the shard to the little mouse. "Take it and eat it. Eat it and do something." When the little mouse saw that it was a fragment, it was a little disgusted. "Why isn't it the origin of the world?" Ning Shu directly took back the fragment. "You don't like to eat it, right? I won't even let you eat the fragment." The little mouse probably wasn't very hungry. It didn't have any reaction when Ning Shu took away the fragment. It seemed that it would have to be hungry for a while. It wasn't hungry enough. If it was hungry, how could it dislike what it was? It was already good enough to have something to eat. Ning Shu gave the body-strengthening fruit to Awan. Awan received the item and sent 500,000 merit points to Ning Shu. It was still very far from 50 million merit points. From now on, Awan was someone who had a loan to repay. Ning Shu sat beside the little mouse and asked it, "What did Li Wen say to you?" The little mouse was very confused. "Nothing. Oh, she asked you to take good care of me." Ning Shu didn't believe it anyway. Take good care of you. This was what the little mouse said itself. Little mouse was really, forget it. Fortune favors fools. If it were anyone else, they would definitely question Li Wen's intentions and blame Li Wen bitterly and angrily. However, the little mouse didn't feel anything. Forget it. It was happier not to take it seriously. If the little mouse changed, it wouldn't be the little mouse anymore. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the sofa and touched the incense burner on the coffee table. The incense burner was filled with agarwood. When he touched it, smoke rose from the holes. It was very artistic. Smelling the agarwood made people calm down. Their hearts that had been agitated by Li Guo previously calmed down. The most important thing was that it could remove the pheromone that covered up the little mouse. Damn it, I really don't understand. I peed everywhere. The chat system dinged. Ning Shu opened his eyes and saw that it was sent by the Cheongsam man. And it was the Cheongsam man's wailing and howling. Come quickly. That violent woman is here again. She said that she's looking for you. She's waiting for you. If you don't come, she'll keep waiting for you. Ning Shu was a little confused. Violent woman, say it? But in the next second he reacted. Could it be Li Guo? Damn, Li Guo really doesn't intend to let her go? Ning Shu said to the Cheongsam man, tell her that I'm not going. Tell her not to wait. She was like a maggot attached to a bone. How annoying. She would rather die than give the will of death to Li Guo. Even if she died, Li Guo wouldn't be able to get it. But Li Guo might also want to get an obedient will of death. After a while, the Cheongsam man wailed again. She doesn't want to leave. She's staying in my restaurant. The red light in her eyes is flashing. She's going to go berserk at any time. Come and get her away. I don't care. Come quickly. My restaurant is really suffering. Ning Shu also had a restaurant. Why did she have to stay in his restaurant? She just refused to leave. How could he still do business? Anyway, the Cheongsam man was convinced. Did these people treat his restaurant as a meeting room? They kept coming here. This was a place to eat, not to fight. Ning Shu also felt that Li Guo was really annoying. He already said that he wouldn't give it to her. Did she want to snatch it? If she fought here, she would report it to the organization and create an opportunity for the senior uncle to blackmail her. If she fought in someone's house and hurt someone, the senior uncle could ask for some medical fees and mental damage compensation. It would be better if he could give her some. Actors also had to be paid, okay? The Cheongsam man said, come on. Her face is red and her eyes are watery. She looks at people with affection. I'm scared. Ning Shu was speechless. That's because she's a little mad. She's in love. The Cheongsam man said, she said that she will give you an offer that you can't refuse. She asked you to come over and talk about it. An offer that she couldn't refuse. Ning Shu was surprised. What kind of confidence did Li Guo have to say that she would give her an offer that she couldn't refuse? Ning Shu felt that no matter what conditions he offered, he couldn't move her. He was a little interested. He wanted to see what kind of conditions Li Guo could give her. /BK Chapter 3563. As a person with information, how could she reveal the information of the mission enforcers to others? She felt that she was being targeted. She was being targeted by the main system. Li Guo saw that Ning Shu was distracted again and coughed to remind Ning Shu to ease the awkwardness. Her topic did not seem to be very attractive. Ning Shu looked at Li Guo and said, I can't give you the will of death. Li Guo said, I don't want the will of death. I was just joking when I said I wanted it. How could she not know? She was just taking a step back during the negotiation. Her target was Ning Shu. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Then what do you mean? Li Guo asked, have you ever thought of leaving this organization? Ning Shu nodded casually. Yes. Li Guo's eyes lit up and reached out to grab Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu quickly retracted his hand. What is she trying to do? She wants to take advantage of me. Especially now that Li Guo is in heat. What did this thing do to her? Sob. Li Guo did not care that she did not grab Ning Shu's hand and said, you can join my tribe. Ning Shu blinked and was a little surprised. The Cheongsam man at the side also looked over with a surprised expression. There were still people trying to poach him, and they were trying to poach someone he was familiar with. This feeling was rather strange. The Cheongsam man also knew that this woman who easily went berserk was not from the organization. There were other creatures in the Void Land. Now, someone was trying to poach someone from the organization. Suddenly, he realized that someone he was familiar with was so outstanding. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and said, "For someone like me, even if I join your tribe, I can't contribute much to your tribe." Ning Shu did not feel that he was of any use. He was only worthy of being noticed and used when he was valuable. Li Guo said, "You are a spirit body. Have you ever thought of having a body? My tribe can help you reconstruct your body." Ning Shu became calmer and calmer as he asked indifferently, "What do you need me to do? You are just a normal mission enforcer here, but if you go to my tribe, I can give you a noble identity." When Ning Shu heard these words, her heart was indifferent. Honor? What status? She could fight for these things on her own. She was a good Li Guo. Why did she do that? What obligations do I have to fulfill? There was no free lunch in the world. If one had the right to enjoy, one had to fulfill their responsibilities. Li Guo moved her finger and said to Ning Shu, "Perhaps your will of death can be passed down to your descendants." Ha ha ha. Ning Shu suddenly burst into laughter. He laughed so hard that he bent over, and tears almost came out of his eyes. "Oh my God, I'm dying of laughter." Ning Shu wiped the corners of his eyes as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. Li Guo furrowed her brows and looked at Ning Shu. She looked at Ning Shu silently and smiled. The Cheongsam man was speechless. It was a sinister smile. What was so funny? Ning Shu finally stopped laughing and said to Li Guo, "Give me a noble identity?" Li Guo nodded. "Give me a body?" Li Guo nodded. "Give me a body so that I can give birth to a child and pass down the will of death?" Li Guo hesitated for a while but still nodded. "So, your goal is for me to give birth to a child?" Li Guo hesitated for a while before shaking his head and said, "It's not for you to give birth to a child, but because you have a better choice. You are just a slave in this organization. Why don't you choose a better way of life when you have one?" Ning Shu's stomach hurt from trying to hold back his laughter. Previously, she had always felt that the creatures in the Void Land were very powerful and tall, at least compared to the weak humans or the creatures in the plane of existence. These creatures in the Void Land had the power to destroy heaven and earth. They were like gods, but at this moment, Ning Shu seemed to see the way ordinary humans lived in Li Guo's body. Her pretentiousness was reduced by a lot. How ridiculous! Right now, Li Guo was like an ordinary human man who wanted to reproduce. He saw a fair-skinned, beautiful and long-legged girl and saw that the girl's genes were good. He might be able to change the genes of his descendants. Therefore, he would say to the girl, "Marry me and I will treat you well." He would use all kinds of methods to get the girl and give birth to a child so that he could pass down his genes. It was really like a carrot in a hole. She was being exploited in the organization, but the organization would not care if she gave birth to a child or if there were all kinds of opinions about why she did not give birth to a child. If she really joined Li Guo's tribe and had a body, she would start looking for people to have sex with, get pregnant, and give birth to children. She would keep looking for people to have sex with, get pregnant, and give birth to children. She would be contributing to the population of the tribe. What kind of life would she be living by borrowing from other tribes? She seemed to be a reproduction machine. As she had the will of death, she might pass it down to her descendants. Their descendants would naturally have strong abilities. Maybe the children she gave birth to would be heroes. Ning Shu snorted. She had finally gotten rid of the life of an ordinary human. She had to get married and have children. Otherwise, she would not be an ordinary human. Now, Li Guo was trying in vain to turn her back into an ordinary human. She wanted to give birth to children for her descendants. Ning Shu was already very polite not to spit out Li Guo's face. Reconstruct a body? Li Guo said that she would implant a womb in her. Seriously, why did Li Guo think that she wanted this kind of life? Giving her a noble status, these words were even more. It made Ning Shu snort in disdain. Whose intelligence was she insulting? She had endured the most difficult days. Her life was still okay now. She must have a problem with her brain to torture herself like this. Compared to before, she was freer now. Her strength had also increased. Give me a body. I want to be grateful to you. Then I will give birth to a child and pass down my will of death to the child. Also, she did not know if it could be passed down. Damn. After thinking about it, Ning Shu could not think of a reason for her to do this. She had enough of the happy days. There were not many treasures in the void land. I like to be single. I don't like to have children. It's good to be single. I can be single with whoever I want. I don't want to have sex with males of various tribes just to give birth. How could she not understand why she would trample on her dignity like this? Could it be that everything belonged to marriage and men? Ning Shu tilted her head and looked at Li Guo. From now on, Li Guo was on her blacklist. She would not interact with her anymore. She would not even speak to her. Ning Shu stretched and stood up to leave. Talking was a waste of saliva. Who cared about a body? If she had a body, how was she going to do missions? A body of flesh and blood was so fragile. Menstruation was not a good thing. Why would she want a body? /BK, you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.